You have a debt to pay.
So we've established my proposal as sound in principle, now we're just haggling over price.
You will offer what amounts to a full pardon.
Recover at the point of a sword.
Come to negotiate, eh? Have you, you slimy git? Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
Enough.
You heard it up top. It's a pirating life for us once more. We're rolling out on those high seas, setting sail, singing songs, doing a bit of piracy, because we're talking Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, here on Normies Like Hosts.
Hey.
Normies Like Us, with your hosts, Colin Zabith Swan.
Hey, it's First Mate Mike here.
Oh,
And it's Captain Cobb at your service, mate.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Where
That's
do we
right.
think? Where did the pirate accent come from? Why is it a thing? You know, it's kind of bizarre, right? Oh, you know what? I think I heard that it was like the actor who did Blackbeard in the early pirate movies kind of did it, and everybody's just been imitating that in pop culture ever since. Don't quote me, but that's the myth. Like it's just
That makes a
we're
lot of
imitating
sense.
the first guy to do a Blackbeard. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, pirates, the dead man's chest, dead men tell no tales, but we will tell the tales of us rewatching the second pirate movie today. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, we're back. We're doing our long form series again. And Normies, you're probably watching along as we are now covering these pirating films. A film I have not seen in a long time. How about you guys? What is your relationship to this smashing sequel to a hugely successful first film?
Yes. Same for me. You know, I have not seen it in a long time. I rewatch, I guess, The Black Pearl more than any other of these movies. So I don't even know how long it's been. Maybe 10 years, maybe longer than 10 years, you know?
Do you think you've seen it more than once?
I think I have, yeah.
Okay.
Because I probably rewatched them, like, at least the first trilogy at least once. So, yeah.
I'm fairly certain I've never seen any of them besides The Black Pearl more than once. I don't remember rewatching this after the theaters. I remember watching it, you know, but I don't remember revisiting any of these sequels. So it's going to be yeah, it's been a trip. I remembered the scene with the Cannibal Island or whatever. That's it.
Yes.
But we'll get into that.
That
part of this
scene has
movie, Mike.
aged
Yeah.
perfectly, you know, no
Man.
problems there.
We finally get some people of color in our film set in the Caribbean. And of course, it's a wonderfully nuanced portrayal. It's incredibly accurate, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yep. With real language. Yeah.
You know, this movie was, of course, filmed at the same time as Part 3 at World's End, sort of a Lord of the Rings type of deal there. And, you know, this was a huge, like we said, The Black Pearl was a huge success. They didn't know if they were going to make sequels when The Black Pearl came out. It was dependent on how well it did. And then they're like, all right, let's write some sequels. And then they filmed them back to back.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of starting an unfortunate trend, I think, of splitting finales into two parts. You know, this is like...
Yeah, but I would say this feels like a full movie. Right?
It does, but I see a lot of Hollywood's bad habits starting in this film. I don't know about you guys.
Sure.
The creep is happening with this, and we'll dive into it more for another water joke. But
yeah, this was the same era as the Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, which was pretty egregious in terms of that could have been one movie probably.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, I'll just say a real quick. I have a weird tie to this film and this year specifically,
please.
because what is it? It's 2005, 2006, right? We're following up from 2003, so just a couple years later. Like you said, Jacob, they're really trying to cram in. They're going to try to fit these last two in at the same time. Weird specific time in my life where my brother was working at the movie theaters, so he worked at the theater in our hometown. Obviously, did either of you guys ever do that?
I never worked in a theater.
I had a friend who worked in the theater, and actually it was around this same time, and I would get into movies free all the time. So I was watching this movie for free, Spider-Man 3, like so many movies I would just go in for free.
Well, that's when you shouldn't have had to pay for it. Yeah.
But that was the perk, was seeing stuff.
Yeah.
And for us being movie lovers and never working at a theater, or I never did Blockbuster, which I also regretted too. But I was always proud of my brother for doing it. And he did the full gambit of, you're taking the tickets, you're cleaning up after people, you're doing concessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And outside of Jacob, like free movies, you really didn't get much. Like, obviously people talk about the posters. He never got that. But one time, and I believe it was before Thanksgiving, or it must have been around Christmas to make this tradition start for our family. But he was gifted a full standee of Keira Knightley's character as Elizabeth Swann in the opening scene of this film, wearing the wedding dress as it's getting poured in the rain. What do you guys think? A 5-minute scene in this movie?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the picture that you sent us earlier. Then I was wondering the context of that picture.
I share with you guys. I've maybe mentioned this to you guys
incredible.
before. I've definitely never said this on the podcast. It's maybe 10 feet tall. I think it's about 10 to 12 feet tall. He got it into our home, and this was a lawless period in my life where my parents had split up, so my mom was out of the picture, and it was just me, my brother, and my dad at home. And not like we were getting away with stuff, but it was definitely a time of, like, I don't know, like, just try stuff, like, roll the dice. So my brother brings the standee home, and we made a tradition that year that carried on, I want to say, for at least 10 more years, and it's come to a conclusion this year, unfortunately. Where we use that standee as a Christmas tree every Christmas, where we would put lights on it around Keira Knightley, and we'd say, hey, do you guys want to hang the lights on the Keira Knightley? That's how we knew it was Christmas.
Oh my God.
We would put a little star around her. We would put a little star on the top, up on her little veil, where she's like holding like she's in her wedding dress. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. Yes.
I am wondering, why would they use this image as a standee to advertise this movie?
Because she's not in that outfit for the whole movie. Yeah.
No,
well, the dress is a very important plot point.
The dress is a plot point, but yeah. Oh my gosh.
But we would stack presents at the base of it, and you would open up your presents up and look up at Keira Knightley.
Elizabeth Swann. Yeah.
I cannot express to you guys how strange it is, and I love it, and it's been one of the cornerstones of our life, basically.
I love it too.
Grandchildren are now in the picture, and my stepmom has put it into it. And she did text us this year that they got a real tree, which led to my brother and I texting, R.I.P. Keira. So we are absolutely heartbroken.
So
I'm
we're
going to
just staying at your
investigate.
dad's.
Well, but I'm going to see if it's been thrown out when I get home, because I'm very nervous that she's actually dead and gone.
We need
so
preservationists.
When you and your brother went off to college, your dad would just decorate it.
He would send us
or you would
pictures
come home for
as a joke. He would
holidays.
send us pictures as a joke. Him home alone as they I just put the Keira up. Like, that is what it meant for Christmas.
That's amazing.
Silent Night Keira Night. I love it. That's really great.
Yes. It's
Has she ever been in a Christmas? Well, she was in Love Actually. That's a Christmas.
That was her big thing.
Yeah, man, that's great. Well, I guess it's good that we're watching this year. It's a proper send-off to the Elizabeth Swann character. Swan song, as you will. Yeah.
Swan song. The Swan song.
Yeah,
she's in the next one too. But yeah.
Right. The series this year
Pirates
for the
of the
final
Caribbean.
year.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. All right.
Dead Man's Chest.
I think with that, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say the name, Pirates of the Caribbean. I was thinking this last time. Do you say Caribbean or Caribbean?
That is such a great question.
Because when I think of
caramel or caramel,
well, when I say Caribbean out of context, I always say Caribbean. But when I say the name of this movie, I always say Caribbean for some reason. I was just trying to think why that is.
No, I do. Yeah, I went to the Caribbean and I watched Pirates of the Caribbean. You know,
I don't know if that was just
weird like that.
That sounds right, Mike. You're right.
Yeah,
that's weird, right? Anyway,
I like it. Well, we asked where the pirate accent came from, and now we're wondering why we pronounce Caribbean. So a lot of phonetics discussion on this episode. But, let's, after the Keira night, Christmas night, let's go ahead and talk about A Dead Man's Chest, number 2, right after this.
Ho.
And a bottle of, why is the rum always gone?
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we're telling tales, the dead mankind, because we're about to open the Dead Man's Chest here on Normies Like Us as we're talking Pirates of the Caribbean, the hit sequel. Jacob, you gave us that fact last time about Curse of the Black Pearl being this additive title. What do we think of Dead Man's Chest here as the title? Mike, are you liking that?
I honestly really like it. I think it makes sense for the pirate theming. I think leaning into it, and I think this is a good title. I really do like Dead Man's Chest.
I like it too because, like you say, it's not only it's a pirate thing, Dead Man's Chest in a bottle of rum or whatever, but it's also describes the plot because they're literally looking for Davy Jones's heart in a chest, which is the dead man's chest, right?
Yeah.
So
it's better than every prequel title except for Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, you like it too, Colin?
Better than Curse of the Black Pearl. We all agreed on that.
I like Curse of the Black Pearl, but this is better for sure.
It
just feels like a D&D module to me. Like, Curse of the Black Pearl anyway.
The only problem is later when they get into the sequels, like the 5th sequel is called Dead Men Tell No Tales, which I think sounds too similar to Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah. So here's the issue I had as we booted up the old Disney Plus where every one of these exists. Jacob, I selected the wrong one to start this because I saw the dead and was like, it's this one. I then had a very confusing conversation with my father. And I made this joke last time where I told you guys that how bad the sequel titles are. I called Return of Jafar the Revenge of Salazar. Remember? I thought that movie was called
On Stranger Tides.
But it's no. The fifth one is called
Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Dead Men Tell No Tales. But my mind did a Mandela effect. In other countries, it was released as The Revenge of Salazar, which now I'm like, at least there's not dead in 2 of the titles. Like I find that
Salazar,
very
of
confusing.
course, is the name of the Javier Bardem character. We'll get there.
He's the Jafar. He's the Jafar.
Yeah, that's where this is the last good title, I think. Even the next one I don't like.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
The only thing, the next one I do like it only because they say at the end of this one they say we need to go.
I hate that.
Jack Sparrow.
I have to go at the world.
Dog.
You hated that?
Hated that, dog. I will say, I think the best acting performance that happens in this film is a man who walks out after that and then just takes a bite of an apple.
Well, I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, I can't wait to get there. Full spoilers for the Dead Man's Chest, everybody.
Yeah.
But I if Anna Maria didn't come back because of the higher ups and above the line organization, it's showing like they're getting their claws on it here. This movie's, I have like kind of mixed opinions on it, but you can see the studio happening here definitely, and that ending line is like, oh, there you go, Hollywood.
Well, Zoe Saldana may be the only character that does not return for this film, Mike.
Yeah, basically, even ones that were
the
dead.
Only named character. I'll say I did not have like a high opinion in my memory of this film, but I actually ended up liking it more than I expected to. I thought there's a lot of fun moments within it. It's a little messier, obviously, than like the first movie plot-wise.
Yeah.
But like when they're on the island and there's all these different competing motivations of the different characters, like I like that, even if that wheel scene maybe goes on a little too long. But there's some fun stuff in here, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, Colin, what's your general sense of this thing after walking away?
I kind of found it to be a time suck, Jacob, to counter what you're saying, where
it is very long.
It's very long, and I found the parts that I didn't want to be complicated, overly complicated, like that wheel scene that we'll talk. And then the stuff where I'm like, well, I mean, if you're like finding Davy Jones' heart, like this should be like an Indiana Jones scene at the end where they're like going through trap. There should be like the scene in Aquaman where they're like, like fighting a kraken and there's like monsters around him. But instead it's like, well, I don't know, like dig up a treasure chest because it's pirate stuff. So underwhelming in parts. Otherwise, kind of, I liked what it was, but I will float out my theory here before we get to your initial reactions, Mike.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly horny movie that I did not pick up on as a kid. This is a movie that is about Keira Knightley wanting to have sex quite a bit, and for
or
Disney
everyone
film,
wants to have sex with Keira Knightley.
I would argue opposite in that it is her, where she is saying things. She only refers to the thing that was interrupted, not as her wedding day, as her wedding night. Yeah. She's the one who says, if it wasn't for these jail bars, we would be having our wedding night now. I would do it with you right now, she says. The stuff on the boat where she's a ghost, the person specifically says, and I bet she's a virgin, and it cuts to her. And then the compass, I will argue, is actually working when it is showing what her true desire is when it points to Jack Sparrow, because she wants to have sex and she does not care who it is from. So,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Point.
And he says to her specifically, I'm a captain, and captains can have sex with you. And basically he's saying to her right now, I know you are horned up, and I will be the one who relieves you. It's wild for a Disney movie to have this stance.
Yeah, well, it's PG-13. There is some stuff here that I was like, oh, that's pretty edgy for a PG-13 movie, even with some of the horror aspects of it.
Yes.
But then with that sword fight where you have Will Turner, Jack Sparrow, and Norrington, they're basically all fighting over Elizabeth Swan.
Either
their
it's a little sword fight.
With your dicks going, no, it is me who will penetrate.
I'm not even left-handed. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Mike, what did you think? And did you pick up on the horniness?
I mean, like, there is, and I think some of it too is like we're creating also love triangle for love triangle's sake. Like some of that is frustrating about this, but they are leaning into a little bit more of that side. I'm of two minds. There's like a segment of this movie where the pirate lore exists that I really dig. Like I like that we're doing Davy Jones and the dead man's chest, and it's like, all right, that's very piratey. But then it's like the hijinks of like swinging on the rope and the whole island thing where, Return of the Jedi, Jack's the tribal leader, like that shit, like I don't care about.
That was probably,
and that doesn't even need to be in the movie. Like that whole segment, it's just time waste, right?
It's probably 15 minutes.
It's long and it's
pointless. They're like, we need to add a bunch of action and hijinks to this.
That too much action hijinks.
Like I like when they go to the island where Davy Jones is, where the dead man's chest is. I like that stuff better than the Cannibal Island stuff. I don't like.
And to be fair, we don't know
the
if
competing motivations of
he is putting spice on himself. Yes. Yeah, that's what's working. The pirate stuff, Norrington losing his job and feeling like frustrated, and that is working. Davy Jones, even Will Turner getting sold out on the ship. Like the Flying Dutchman stuff is good. It's just the hijinks are too.
And we should talk about the new characters in this.
Yes.
So of course we have our new antagonist, Davy Jones, played by Bill Nye, the science guy. And then we have, of course,
Bill.
Then we have Bill.
And then we have Bill, Bootstrap Bill, played by Stellan Skarsgård, who is Will Turner's father, of course, a former crew member of. Yes. Well, here's the thing: we know what Stellan Skarsgård's sons really look like, Alexander Skarsgård and Bill Skarsgård. So I could kind of believe, if. They have blonde hair, but if you dyed Alexander Skarsgård's hair darker, you could look like Orlando Bloom, kind of.
Yeah. So the function is, Davy Jones is coming back because he wants to get Jack Sparrow on his crew because Jack made a deal with him to get the Pearl brought back to be captain for 10 years. And even though he was marooned and all that, and he was only captain for 2 years, Davy Jones says doesn't matter. So that's kind of how he's coming into the picture.
Right. So basically, he owns Jack Sparrow's soul, and he's come to collect on it. And he has a Kraken that he can call to destroy ships and whatnot, of course. And then Bootstrap Bill, who was a member of the Black Pearl crew who mutinied against Jack Sparrow, never sat right with him, right? So they threw him overboard.
They tied him to a cannon by his bootstraps.
Yeah.
Bootstraps. His old bootstraps.
And then, of course, because he couldn't die because of the curse, he was just alive under the water. That's where Davy Jones kind of found him and sort of enlisted him into his
under
crew.
The pressure. Couldn't move. Couldn't think.
And I like, I really like both of these guys' performances in this. Bill Nye and Stellan Skarsgård. I think they're great additions to the cast.
I would 100% agree with that. Obviously, the big standout is the aesthetic of them. We'll talk about the CGI for a second here. I was just trying to find the name. I think his name is either Flash or Crash Thompson. I cannot remember the guy who's the conceptual artist who created these. If you look him up, all your favorite movies where they just like add stuff, he's like the creature designer guy. The only thing off the top of my head I can think of is he did the dumb M. Night Shyamalan Lady in the Water, where they have like those grass monkeys. Have you guys like seen that?
Oh,
terrible. Yeah. But in this,
I love
the look and
the crew of the Flying Dutchman.
But specifically, Bill Nye is some sort of squid lobster, right?
Yes, he's like a squid man. He's got tentacle beard.
It's kind of like a mind flayer.
Yeah,
a little bit.
That's cool, yeah.
And this was done with CGI, as well as most of the crew of the Flying Dutchman. Only Stellan Skarsgård is done with makeup Whereas the rest of the crew is CG. Yeah. But I do like the whole crew because I like how varied they are. They each kind of have their own thing going on, and they look great. Like you got the Hammerhead first mate or whatever, and you got like different guys, but the amount of detail and the variedness, the uniqueness of each crew member is really cool.
And Bootstrap is some kind of barnacle. Mike, what sea critter would you want to be slowly doomed to transform into?
Well, what was I guess a lobster.
Oh,
what was that movie where he picks a lobster because they live for a long time?
You'd be like SpongeBob. You do like that one that gets real big and buff.
yeah, I think that works. Yeah,
I like the one where
the clamps.
His head comes off and it's like
I don't like that one.
A crab shell.
Oh yeah, no, he's a hermit crab head guy.
Grow crab legs himself and then scurry away.
You have two bodies. Yeah.
He seemed very nervous to be left behind on that island, though. I'm not positive I'd ever want to risk
his body left him.
Yeah.
But I think how it works is like the longer you're on the crew of the Flying Dutchman, the more you evolve into like a weird sea creature monster.
Yeah.
And then we see that guy whose like brain is attached to the wall of the boat and everything, which is very disturbing.
Yeah. It's a lot of
stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a lot of good like flavor, and like because we established curses are real, it's like it makes sense to bring Davy Jones, and like he doesn't feel out of place in the world, and this crew makes sense for the way kind of we've established things. Like I like the look of them. It feels good.
Mike, does the MacGuffin being the heart of Davy Jones, the dead man's chest, sort of the key, this triangle MacGuffin, right, of all these things we have to get together to control the Kraken, does that feel big enough? Because my worry is that once you introduce these cursed things where it's like if a cursed treasure chest of Aztec gold can get its own thing, and then whatever later we'll learn all these other things, does this chest and Kraken combo feel big enough to feel like it needs to fill up 2 movies?
Yeah, I disagree with 2 movies, Jacob. I'm curious what you think too, but yeah, that's the thing. Like it feels great for a sequel. I'm like, this is appropriate scaling, but they push it a little too far, I think, for 3. But Jacob, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to have to see how the third one goes because I don't remember it very well. But I like this movie just as a standalone movie. Like I thought the plot was interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I mean the sequel, obviously they're like, we got to go rescue Jack from at World's End. And I remember being disappointed by the third one, seeing it in theaters and being like, well, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But this one I liked more than I thought. And like the Flying Dutchman, it's like, obviously the first one, it felt more realistic in the first one, and then the supernatural element was just the curse and the undead pirates.
It's kind of a twist.
In the
first one.
Because it starts, you just think, oh, this is like a period piece, like a very realistic period piece.
And then we see
this one, they're really doubling down on the supernatural element of everything.
Well, and we literally get a Lord character, the sort of other villain, Tom Hollander as Lord Byron or whatever that character is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who Keira Knightley comes to him and says, I know you're probably running out to get that cursed Aztec gold. And Jacob, he literally laughs at her and is like, no, this movie is like double the budget of that first film. He's like, no, like that. We're going much higher in scale than all that stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently like Davy Jones is someone that these people all know is real, and like Beckett like knows about Davy Jones and wants his heart and everything, because then he who controls that controls the sea and all this stuff. So it's like, it's not just a legend. Like people know that this is real. It's kind of strange.
Right. But I do like that it's, again, pirate lore. We've all heard about Davy Jones's locker and stuff. So it's cool to put a face to that kind of thing, at least in pop culture. And I guess Beckett would learn about it because he chases pirates. Like that's his job, right? So he probably caught wind of something. It's like, hey, dang. And there was actually skeletons at Port Royal? Fuck. All right. Maybe Davy Jones' chest is real. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think Davy Jones, Bill Nye, is like the best. Like the design of him, like the CGI, it looks great, and it's obviously they spent a lot of time and effort making him look very realistic. His skin texture and everything, like the way his tentacles move, like it all looks really good especially for the year that this movie came out. Right?
And he'll pull a key out of his jacket with his beard tentacle, like little stuff like that is nice. I like
play the
touches.
organ with his tentacles.
Yeah. What is it that's so special about Bill Nye that he is able to act out of the CGI gobbledygook better than any other actor I've ever seen in my life?
Yeah, I don't know.
Eyes? Is it his eyes, man?
Yeah, because obviously it's him acting, and then they put a bunch of dots on his face, and then animate over that. I guess you really only like Gollum is better. Like it's the same level, right?
Yeah. That's true, Jacob. There's a level of subtlety that those two are doing together where they're not going so over the top that it becomes, what's a bad example of it? Like Doomsday and fucking, Batman v
Abomination
Superman
or something.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. Where you're like, oh my God.
And if this doesn't work,
how many
the whole
movies
movie's kind of fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. How many movies have come out since that have had worse CG in, when technology is supposedly better, like, even in the last couple years, like there's this looks better than certain movies. So
like even some Marvel movies like this looks better than that. And same company.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, great villain. And yeah, the effects hold up for it. So good on him. Yeah, Bill Nighy's. Well, you remember Bill Nighy did want to become a Mewtwo, so he's familiar with embodying some vessel.
I would argue these special effects look a little better than the Pokemon movie.
100%. 100%.
I'll give one last criticism up here, and then I swear to God I will stop being combative about this movie, and then we can just go through it if you want, or if there's any other points you guys want to share. I would argue that I don't feel like this film goes to Empire Strikes Back-y or to the point Jacob was saying. It feels very standalone. I do agree with that. I think it's good, and it doesn't follow too much into like middle film fatigue syndrome. But the screenwriters seem to lean on the crutch of every 10 seconds someone will double cross someone else, and the audience will like this because it will keep them off balance. Whereas really, by the end of the film, when I'm watching the two Rosenkrantz and Guildenstern guys like threaten to kill Keira Knightley, I'm like I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel about these guys at this point. It's like, I like these guys? Do I hate these guys? Like, I just want them to be nice to the characters that I like at this point. Everybody just get along and move the narrative forward.
Right. I kind of disagree with you because, like, on this whole island scene where everyone's changing allegiances and everything, for me it works because that's kind of the nature of pirates. Like they will change allegiances at a moment's notice.
But it seems like truly the screenwriters are like, the dictionary definition is pirates betray each other, so let's do that every 5 seconds.
Right. Of course, that's kind of
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow's main character trait is that he will, like, with the wind, on a whim, kind of change his plan, whatever his plan is at the point. And he's always thinking like kind of 2 steps ahead, where he's like, well, he's looking out for himself most of all, and whatever he needs to do to help himself is what he's going to do. But then, of course, he has a heart of gold at times, blah, blah, blah. So, but even at the end, when you have...
will come, Jacob. And I wave at those moments as they pass me by. Love.
But then you have even Elizabeth Swann surprising people at the end and, betraying Jack. So...
Right. And I mean... Well, then at the end, she says he's a good man, which I disagree with. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't...
But I don't even know if she thinks that. She's just saying that to, like, be nice, because you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, right? But she basically seduces him and then handcuffs him to the Black Pearl and says, you have to stay here. So, which Will sees her kiss him, which is like a plot thread that maybe will be picked up in the next one. I didn't really know.
He knows how she is just the horniest person on the planet. He is down. Don't worry.
Miss Swan.
But maybe we should start at the beginning. Just kind of go through this plot.
Walk through it.
So of course we open on, it's the day or the night of the wedding of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. It's raining. Something has gone wrong. And we get our new British guy antagonist of Lord Cutler Beckett of the East India Trading Company, who's sort of the new Norrington of this movie, right? Because Norrington is now sort of disgraced for letting Jack Sparrow go. So Beckett comes and he's like, I have these arrest papers for Elizabeth Swann, Will Turner, and former Commodore Norrington.
What?
Right? And I did.
You're Tom Hollander. You're this actor who's playing this Lord character. How mad are you that you're a character actor for 40 years in solid roles, and then the guy who plays Spider-Man comes around and just eats up your SEO online? Tom Holland versus Tom Hollander.
Yep. He was in White Lotus. That's the only thing I remember him recently from. He was in the 2nd season of White Lotus.
I just watched all the Kingsman films. He's in that prequel one that's really bad.
Sure. But yeah, he's fine.
If it was the British film thing, they'd make him change his name. Tom Holland wouldn't have been allowed.
If he was joining the union.
Now they would.
he's got a second in command that's like very evil and kills people and stuff, right?
You barely see this guy.
Oh yeah, he exists.
I'm shocked you even shouted him out.
Yeah, he's got a heavy.
Because they have this whole thing where Elizabeth's dad breaks her out and is going to like smuggle her back to England, and then they get to the boat and he killed the captain of this boat. He stabbed him, right? That's a very scary scene where he just kind of falls over.
Right.
And I was thinking, like, doesn't that guy, like, you can't just murder somebody like that. Like, you should have a trial. I don't know.
But you know, he's the new mayor of
show that he's a
Port
bad
Royal.
guy. Yeah.
The opposite
the East
of
India Trading Company.
Yep.
Yes, you shouted them out on our last episode, Jacob, that we would get to this historical, true life, incredibly rich company that I believe still exists in some form of whatever it is today. I'm sure they own Nazi gold somewhere. Some horrible
thing. They became so rich from, obviously colonialism and everything, where back in the day, Britain and these other European countries were just expanding all over the world. They would just land somewhere and say, well, this is our land now, obviously, because we're the first people here. Ignore these natives. They don't count.
Neighbors used to be the currency of the world, Jacob. What's the currency now? Currency is the currency.
Currently, it's currency.
Money driven. He wants to fill out the map, he keeps saying. There is this sort of pirates equate of the map to freedom, and then the government, of course, fascism. We talked about this a lot in One Piece as well. It's sort of what that's about.
Yeah, that's what piracy is all about.
It's about freedom. Not all pirates are bad. Yeah, but the idea of free spirit. Cowboys versus, John Marston. Well, Will Turner gets John Marston's, where the government forces him to work for them.
Yes,
privateer. He essentially becomes a privateer. Yes, and the straight up, we get the offer here, Jacob. They underline it. He says, if you recruit Jack Sparrow, he will become a privateer for the Queen's Navy, or the King's, I believe, at this point.
Which he says, like, oh, I'm sure Jack will not see employment as freedom to him, so he would never go for that kind of thing.
Great line.
But essentially, they send Will Turner after Jack Sparrow and say, if you can get his compass, which will lead, and this compass, as we kind of find out, obviously was in the first movie, led them to Isla de la Muerte, or whatever it was called.
It is Han Solo's dice, Jacob. We are getting a backstory of a thing that you just see the screenwriter go, we didn't talk about that, so let's fill in that blank.
As it turns out, how it works is it will point to whatever you desire most. So Jack is trying to use that to find the dead man's chest, but it's not really working, because I guess maybe he wants something else more. So we're just kind of spinning around, but that's why Beckett wants it. That's why everyone wants it, so they can get this key, or they can get this outline of a key on a piece of cloth.
Yeah. Right.
Which,
and then
just
get the
have
key
that
and get the chest.
is just that the idea that the key exists. And
you know what it looks like?
Itself is valuable knowledge.
Right.
It's like, of course, a key.
Right. Yeah, I didn't understand that. It's got to be this specific key, but I guess this shows you what the key looks like, so that if you have the right key.
Let's jump to that, because we get our introduction to Jack in this movie. First, it's Mr. Gibbs. He's on the boat. There's some corpses being thrown off, right, that are being transported out from. This is like a prison island. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, I think he's in a prison island, and he escapes in a coffin that's thrown into the water. And then he uses a dead guy's foot to paddle back to the Black Pearl.
Coolest scene in the movie. This to me is where they are fully cementing. It's like when you got Han Solo down as a character, it's like, let's separate here. Let's get Jack down. Here's my thing. Put him in the lowest state as possible, where he's just like in a coffin using a bone as an oar, and he still comes off cool. That's the equation to a good Jack Sparrow scene. He should be in the mud, but looking awesome. And this really pulls it off. It's so cool. It's a great introduction.
Right. Yeah. And then he comes back aboard, and he's got this piece of cloth with the key drawn on it. And then we get, he has a scene with Bootstrap Bill is on the boat, kind of giving him a warning, Ghost of Christmas Past style, where he's like, you will be visited by Davy Jones soon.
Yeah.
And we see Jack very freaked out for the first time ever, where he's like, he knows the Kraken is coming, right? So he's like, we got to get out of here right now. His hat blows off, right?
Yeah.
The monkey steals his hat into the water, and he's like, fuck it, we got to go, leave the hat. which is like crazy because, of course, in the last movie and everything, he's always about like keeping his hat and his effects and stuff. So like for him to just abandon his hat and be like, let's get the fuck out of here now.
It's
you
establishing
really see the sense of danger. Yeah.
An urgency. Yeah. And like, I agree. Like it's a good intro to him and where he's at. Like I like the coffin, like Colin was saying, like that's good Jack Sparrow stuff and showing that like, okay, he doesn't want his hat. Mr. Gibbs says, let's turn around. So that's really good. But later it gets bad Jack Sparrow. But so far this is good Jack Sparrow and we're establishing stakes and
we're introduced to the Kraken here, and it is following the scent of his hat. Is that how the Kraken is like? Ooh,
apparently,
yeah. For you, Jack.
I think he just that's where the Black Pearl was, so the Kraken is coming there. So they get out of there.
They find his hat.
Yeah,
it could be the hat, but who knows?
I think it's the hat.
I think
I like
that.
Yeah. I do like the foreshadowing of him getting the hat at the end when the creature spits it back at him. He's like, "Oh, here's my hat."
Yep.
I did like that moment.
That's the best.
Well, a shark can smell blood or whatever like 3 miles away in water. So I bet the Kraken's like that's Jack's mildew for sure.
I think so.
Yeah. But he's like, we need to get to land because of course Davy Jones can only set foot on dry land every 10 years.
Which cool lore, I think.
He does say at one point, Jake, in this film, I'm a decade away from stepping on dry land or something like that. I was like, that is an incredible way to phrase that.
Which is why, Jack gets this jar of dirt, which is very important later.
The dry land lore is fun.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to escape. Yeah.
Yeah. To see Jack so freaked out by something when he's kind of just goes with whatever's happening, usually it really gives you the effect of like, oh, some shit's about to go down.
Does he ever explain to Mr. Gibbs? Because Mr. Gibbs is later the person who tells the mythology of the Kraken to Will Turner, but I didn't remember the scene where he was explained that they were being chased by a Kraken.
I don't think
remember.
So.
Off screen.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens next. So they run.
Well, they head to Tortuga because that is where they head to land. And of course, Will Turner, who has set out, he at this point has said to Elizabeth, I am going on this journey. She's locked up in jail.
Yeah.
He gets a boat and whatever and says, let's start at Tortuga. And he heads there as well. And this is where they meet up with each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And we get, we meet up a couple people because they're crewing up, right? What's the
he needs souls to give to Davy Jones.
So
right?
Davy Jones does come to him. Yeah, David Jones confronts him eventually.
I raised the Black Pearl from the oceans for you. And you owed me 100 souls for 13 years. And he actually throws out, I did like when Bootstraps says this where he's like, you owe him for 13 years or whatever, and Jack tries to interject with, well, technically I wasn't captain of the Black Pearl for all of those 13 and Bootstrap cuts him off. He's like, that logic's not going to work on him. Like very much points out like, no, you cannot bargain with Davy Jones. So.
Right.
And that stuff is good too, even when he's like, so it proves my barter is sound. We're just negotiating on price. Like all that kind of stuff is fun.
Yes.
Jack, but
I think we're getting a little confused because they will come back to Tortuga and recruit more people again, but in this scene they just take Will Turner, leave.
Right, they get Will first.
Oh, and he's like, "Hey, where's Jack?"
They say, "Will go over to the Flying Dutchman."
He literally grabs the what do you call it, the compass, and says like, "If you want to save your wife, I need you to use this then." And this is the point where he goes, "Well, then we're good this way." And he goes, "Oh, okay, let's go." And it's revealed that it's the Flying Dutchman he's leading him to.
Yes, and so he says, "Go over to the Flying Dutchman. Talk to Davy Jones, try to barter for my soul or whatever."
If you get caught, do me a favor and say, I'm here to fulfill the payment of Jack Sparrow, and you'll be good, my dog. And then the second he gets off, he's like, all right, let's get out of here. Like, fuck this asshole.
Which
Will's
attracts.
like, okay, seems legit to me. Let me go talk to this guy. Goes over there. We goes over to this like beached ship, right? That's been kind of shipwrecked, and there's like sort of dying crew members on it. This is a very scary scene too, right? Where
it's a very scary scene.
Yeah, and and of course Davy Jones and his crew comes on board, and they're like, "You have a choice: either die or join my crew for 100 years, right? You sell your soul to Davy Jones for 100 years, and then you basically
your life.
Yeah, you can postpone judgment." Yeah.
Right. So
what's going to happen to you on the other side? Are you settled? Have you settled your life, boy?
great stuff.
And then he sniffs out and says, "You're not a soul lost at the sea," or something, right?
Yeah, because he's not like actively dying, right? So he's like, you're not supposed to be here.
One of those people didn't seem like they were actively dying. It seemed like they were on a shipwreck.
Really bad scurvy outbreak.
Yeah, I guess.
But then Will kind of joins his crew, and this is where we get his reunion with his father, right?
Yep.
He meets Bootstrap Bill.
Real quick, earlier again, when Jack was talking to Bootstrap, he did tip him off that he received assistance in the last film from Will Turner, and Bootstrap goes, "Will's chosen a life of piracy as well. Oh, I didn't want the seas for him." So he is a little ahead of this, but of course, Will is blown away to see that his father's still alive.
Yeah.
Or a sea crab. Or...
Right.
Right.
Barnacle.
I don't want to walk us on his face.
Yeah. I don't want to walk back too far, but we did miss the Great Island. Where Will, because he finds Jack.
Yes, that's right. Now I remember.
The entire
because we hate it.
Animal Island.
Because you don't need it.
They find the first land, and it ends up being this cannibal island. So the whole crew gets captured by these cannibals.
And that's
when Will goes to Tortuga, he says, "Have you seen this ship?" And one guy eventually goes,
"Yes,
I saw a ship with black sails on an island." And they go there, and it is beached up. Now we get a little time dilation here because how long?
That sounds dirty.
Long, well, it's
really dirty. Beached up in this movie.
It's a dirty movie, dog.
Yep.
How long has the Black Pearl crew been on this island? Because obviously they're in these cages of bones, and they say these were made once we got here from the former crew of us.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they've only been there for a little bit because they were running from the Kraken. Yeah, Jack, it's kind of a C-3PO Return of the Jedi situation where they're like, this guy is a god maybe, but we're also going to sort of cook him so that the spirit of the god can be released from his body or whatever.
Yeah. Disclaimer, this is not great. It's not holding up. It's like a fake gibberish. It's like it's I don't like
problematic.
In particular, the sort of baby talk way, like you believe it when all the other people are in it, but when Johnny in particular, and I'm saying his name now because I do want to drag his ass in the way that he does this performance. When he does the sort of baby talk call and response to them, it seems like he is improvising it in the moment and they all have to go along with it. And it seems like his first instinct is, I'll go as racist as possible.
Of course, this is a guy that played a Native American, obviously.
It made me I have seen that film, and it made me take a pause where while I was watching this, I just went, how horrific must he be playing a First Nations person in that film? Like, it must be one of the... I can't even... It must have been wiped from my memory, because I have nothing to hold on to of it.
Also a Disney movie, of course.
It's a cannibal.
With a real-life cannibal.
What crowd are you running with, Johnny? But yeah, it's not...
But essentially, no.
But plot-wise,
Will kind of shows up. Will shows up. He is also captured by this tribe, and this is where he sees Jack, who has these eyes drawn on his face, of course, and he's like the chieftain now. So Will's like, "Help me,"
He's trying to get Han Solo. C-3PO, tell him not to eat me.
I mean, no kidding. I think the first teaser poster was just his face with the eyes shut with them painted on. This was pretty much the iconic image that they used for this film.
Yeah, they did use this in the marketing
of Squid Face, because I think they were probably working on those effects for a long time, and then we're like, okay, we can share this now.
Yeah, to be sure it's going to work.
But of course, we do get this big action hijinks scene where they're all trying to escape. The crew is in these cages that are being sort of suspended over a chasm, right?
Yeah. And they're trying to swing and climb, and they're racing the other cage, and then that cage falls, and then the native
don't worry, all the named
important
characters are in the one cage.
But this is another moment where I'm like, but why even have this moment where these guys are like, only 6 people are needed to crew this, just to create this little bit of stakes switching sides again, where I'm like, I understand it needs to have drama. Let's just get them out of this and continue the movie. Let's save the 8 minutes this is going to take.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you need action for your big blockbuster movie.
And if this is your opening salvo, I don't like this sequence at all.
But
I don't love it, no, but
I don't love it. And while I'm watching, I kept going, right, this ends with the water wheel. And then when it didn't, I was like, that's
another scene.
Well,
yeah.
But then, Jacob, I was like, oh, that must be in the third movie. And then when it was in this movie too, I was like, that's unforgivable.
No, they must have been like
has so many dumb actions.
Yeah, they're like, we need some big action set pieces, some crazy stunts.
Can I give you my theory? Is that all that stuff was shot first, and then once they figured the plot out, all the scenes of people on the boat being like, the Kraken's coming for Jack because, where you're like none of this is lining up in any kind of way.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, and this is like with the hijinks that I don't like. Like it mechanically for the plot, it's useless. It's just padding because you could have just had him run into Jack anywhere else and not done this whole sequence. Like you don't need it.
They all just need to get away. And this movie also has this problem of, which I think a lot of blockbusters tend to have, where it's like, we need a bunch of characters to die to like show the danger of the situation, but it can't be any of the important characters. So we're just going to kill a bunch of like nobodies, basically, like a bunch of red shirts, as they would say in Star Trek. So you have two cages. One of them has, Mr. Gibbs and Cotton and all these characters that we know, and then the other one has a bunch of extras. I wonder which one's going to make it. Yeah.
Yep.
Cotton's one of your named characters.
Cotton, of course.
And
there's only like three it's like Mr. Gibbs, Cotton, the guy who can't talk and has a parrot, and then Marty, the short pirate.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, can I point out what I noticed this time? He's the only one who does a Caribbean accent, and I'm not positive he should be doing that accent.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He hits some words where I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
I find him funny though, because anytime when they're like rolling the cages and stuff, he's just kind of hanging on and like cheering everyone on. He can't really help.
Yes. Hey, can I ask you guys a question real quick? Because the other member of our crew we forgot to talk about is, of course, the monkey returns in this one.
Jack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is the monkey still cursed?
I was wondering that as well. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Unless the monkey took a coin separately after they reversed.
After they got cured,
the monkey took a coin.
And the monkey's the only one afflicted by it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's
I don't like the logic of that. I guess they just wanted to have the monkey be an undead monkey because it's funny.
Yeah, and it has a function later, but it's like, I don't like we don't need the monkey. It's stupid.
No.
Yeah.
And I forgot her name last time, but I learned it this time. It's
Tia
Crystal.
Dalma. Oh,
Tia
Dalma. I thought you were talking about
the monkey.
voodoo lady. Yeah.
No, I meant the actress monkey. That's so funny.
Oh, actually, I looked this up as well.
It's Crystal. It's the world's most famous cappuccino monkey.
Nice.
Is it Crystal? Because I have conflicting information.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the one from The Hangovers.
Is it related to Marcel
from what
Friends?
In my research, what they said is the monkey in the first movie was played by two monkeys named Chiquita and Pablo, and then in this movie was played by two monkeys named Tara and Levi.
Oh, I'm definitely wrong.
Well,
and also the bird, the parrot.
Monkeys.
The parrot was played by two parrots named Chip and Salsa, which I think is very cute.
Oh, I really like Chip and Salsa.
Okay.
And Chip was the one whenever they needed to be calm on his shoulder, and then Salsa was the one whenever they needed to like make
something.
I'm so glad that you're sharing these facts with me right now.
I love
that. Was important.
This should have been the quiz.
Yeah, that should have been the quiz.
Guess the animals' names.
Yeah. Oh my
god. Banana.
So island escape, we're getting chased, we're getting on the Pearl, we're getting out of here, and that's when Jack's like, look, Will Turner, we got to do the thing. Yeah.
And Orlando's performance in this is basically the end of his lines. He screams. Like he starts talking normal, but then screams the end of the lines.
I would say he's definitely the worst main actor in this in these movies, unfortunately.
Could have had Heath Ledger.
Jack, it's Elizabeth. She's left in the prison. We have to get her.
Yeah, you're right.
Why are you doing that?
Intensity.
But yeah, so Will goes over to the Flying Dutchman, and that's when Davy Jones is like, okay, that's a start. That's one soul. You need 99 more.
Good work.
And that's where they go back to Tortuga and they start hiring people who are like, hey, do you want to join a crew where you'll almost certainly die? Sign here.
Yeah. And like this
which I think is very funny.
Yeah, it's like Pirates 1, good Tortuga, like, I wish I was dead anyway. It's like, all right, come on, you got it, man.
And we get the introduction of my favorite character in this movie, which is a return of Commodore Norrington.
Yes,
he's fallen from grace, right? He's a very different character now, His life is very gone to shit.
We discussed.
I would like him in an hour of screen time. This version with the white wig still on and like super drunk is not my favorite version.
I just think it's funny, like how different he is from the last movie and how much he's like fallen from grace.
Yeah, and we clowned on him a lot for basically just getting cucked the whole time. So to see consequence, like his life is shit now. Yeah, and he wants to marry a teenager.
Deserves this.
Yeah, I do. So I like when Gibbs is like, "Who? Wait, is that who I think it is?" He's like, "I'm you, just one chapter behind." And then you see, because in Gibbs, in the first one, we meet him, he's in the pig trough, and then later, Norrington is in the pig trough, right? So it's like,
but if you also remember, he was also in that flashback in the opening, which
he was like a legit naval
Royal
guy.
Navy. Yes, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
So Norrington is like drunk. He's like, I'm disgraced. I'm no longer a Commodore. I guess I'll join a pirate crew. Just try to make something of my life because I'm just a piece of shit.
And that's like the only place that's like that he can go because of the East India Trading Company like owning everything else. He has to just be in Tortuga and hiding basically. So maybe ulterior motives, but he joins up with them. And I do like the addition of Norrington. So
yeah, I like what he adds to the movie in terms of like competing motivations, because he's like just working on the crew of the ship, and then he's like he sees a chance where he can get pardoned, and he's like, well, I might as well, look out for myself now and stuff. So it's pretty
seeking redemption, He explicitly says that. So yeah, we get him in
and
there.
Not to jump ahead too far, but I do like the moment where Will and Elizabeth finally reunite within this movie, and they kiss and stuff, and then it cuts to Norrington. He just looks so sad. I'm just like, man, what a poor guy.
Norrington's like, and of course these movies are about you being cucked. You're like, that's a lot of these films. Why do you think that?
Right. So he joins up along with some other crew members on the Black
this is
Pearl.
with Elizabeth. This is jumping around
because we
didn't set up where she has this entire arc where she's with Lord Barris. What is it again?
Well, she stows away on that other ship.
Right.
With the whole dress situation where they think the dress is a ghost and all this stuff. She gives them a sign to go to Tortuga, which you kind of see her. I like this too, because it's showing Elizabeth. She's like a very competent pirate. She's like,
she has agency.
Puppeting this thing and everything.
Editing does no helping to Keira Knightley, because there's so many stories going on. You feel very disconnected from her. But Jacob, the writing for her is super strong. And I would agree with you in that all this stuff setting her up as being like a kick-ass character. And then at the ending, when they twist the damsel in distress of her pretending to faint goes attended to. Yeah. That is such a good pun of like, we're done with that era of her being, this damsel in distress. Like we have to move past this. I really like
just been a damsel in distress because she knows how to use her feminine wiles, you might say, which we saw in the first one, but now we're seeing horny. She's horny, but she knows how to use her horniness, and she knows how to use other people's attraction for her or lust for her against them. But as well, she's just a competent pirate. And considering she's like the only female character in these movies other than Tia Dalma, it's good that they're giving her some strong characterization, right?
Yeah, she gets to wear pants and have a sword and a nice little triangle hat. It's a good fit.
Yes,
it's a good fit.
Yes, and gets fun bits to do with every character. But just because you keep saying her name, set up Theodora real quick. Set up Naomi Harris in this film, who is an awesome.
She's Tia Dalma. She's like a voodoo witch lady that they go to. That I guess Jack just knows somehow from previous dealings.
Adventures.
Yeah, you just assume.
And they have, she specializes in, I guess, supernatural
pirate occult
and whatnot.
This is a legit actual where voodoo came from, the Caribbean, Jamaica, and all that stuff. Hoodoo, a whole history of that sort of religion or practice in that area. And this is, I would argue, this is a good representation of a character of color, right? In this film. It's
better
like
than the cannibals.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's insensitive or not. I'm not like an expert on that. But it seems like at least they're giving her like a real character and like she has agency and stuff. So
it's at least Naomi Harris doing a good part.
It's a good performance. And they go to her to get some help possibly against Davy Jones, she gives Jack Sparrow a jar of sand because this is a jar of dirt because basically, of course, Davy Jones can't go on land only every 10 years. So if you have this jar of dirt, that could maybe help you if you spread it out and like stand on it or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't understand
and they
that
trade
Undead
the undead monkey, and you do get a
Yes.
little hint of what's going to come at the end because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when the monkey goes back, you see like a pair of boots, like someone's lying down that the monkey looks at. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I didn't
I'm pretty
notice
Not at
that.
all. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. So
I never
that's
noticed
why.
that. I never remember that from the first time, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. The monkey goes back like in her house and sees someone lying down back there, and then kind of cuts away and he's looking at it. So that might come up later.
Yeah, and it might. Yeah.
Oh, and let's do just our last, just introducing characters, I guess, because this movie jumps around so much that is
we're doing
the
that
issue.
too.
Like we're just jumping. But our Rosengrantz and Guildenstern, I don't know their names.
Pintel and Rigetti.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Jacob.
Yes.
Our expert.
I would argue this would be what would happen if. Well, this is the Boba Fett TV show. This is you seeing a super awesome background character and going like, but should the next thing, should they have like so much to do? And you want to like what made Empire Strikes Back Return of the Jedi awesome is like those characters all had one line and I've thought about them for the rest of my life. Like that's they didn't need to develop
Poppet.
these things.
Yeah.
But they do have a really good line in this in that they talk about the Bible because they are now worried about their souls because they're going to die.
Yes.
And one guy's like, you're illiterate. And he goes, it's the Bible. You get points for trying.
You get
I
credit
do
for
think
trying.
it's funny,
Yeah.
like their little background conversations. And then when they're watching the three guys fight,
That's
and they're
the
explaining the
second best moment of
motivations.
this.
It's very
When the
funny.
guy walks up and says, what's going on here? And he says, it's actually
I
a
believe.
peculiar situation if you think about it because the drama and he outlines it is so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I kind of like these
That
guys as
should be all-
background characters.
That should be all it is, Jacob. It should be just those two moments. It's like 5 more moments.
But they're in the the whole hijinks of this island. They're trying to steal the chest for themselves at one point. But like pirates, they're willing to switch allegiances at a moment's notice. Whatever they think that they can get, treasure or fortune from, they will do. So at one point, they're nice to our heroes, and then they betray them at one point. But then when they realize Elizabeth doesn't have a sword, they're like, oh, we're gonna probably kill you right now. But then I also like the moment when Davy Jones's crew is all chasing after the three of them, and they only have 2 swords between them, and they're like passing the swords back and forth. Like, swords. I did like that moment as well.
Really like that moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
But
a
it just
clever,
shows
like
how
the
fleeting
blacksmith
the,
fight. Like that's good choreography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it shows how fleeting these allegiances can be. But when they need to, like, oh, a bunch of undead like sea creatures are chasing after us, we should probably team up against them.
At least for now. Yeah. But a little bit too much of Brigetti and friend. But there are moments where they work, like those things that we underlined. Like I liked him trying to steal the ship too, and then when they roll up, they're like, "We were just getting it ready for you, dude." Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's
half the work's done. Yep.
Yep.
They just join the crew. But they're the only returning crew members of Barbossa's Black Pearl. Other than Barbossa, they're the only ones that return.
And Bootstrap.
And Bootstrap. Yes.
True. Good call. Yeah. Let's. What is Will doing all this time though? Because
Will's on the.
Exactly.
let's
discuss cut to the Will
Dutchman.
plot. He's trying to discover
he's
the whereabouts of the key. They have this game that they're playing.
Games.
He plays Liar's Poker, which I've played this in a million different fashions. I was very happy to see it. I guess get representation.
4 5s.
Yeah.
6 5s.
6 5s.
12.
And if I don't call you a liar, you'll call me a liar, Bill. So you're full of shit too. Like it's there's the weird like honor of that era where it's like, oh, what am I supposed to do here? I really like.
Which is very funny for the pirates to be like, we're all liars, but he's like, no, I got my honor.
Fuck you.
But they're wagering their lives or their sentences,
Will
basically.
Is challenging Davy Jones to basically, because he wants to get the key and then get the chest, he's challenging Davy Jones, and then Bootstrap Bill joins into the game to protect his son, right? So he's like, my son, he's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's doing, let me try to come and protect
him. We
him.
got this scene of getting lashed to, like, at every angle. Skarsgård is trying to insert himself to protect his son because obviously he feels guilty for not being there. Now, if you were Davy Jones, you hear Bootstrap Bill's related to this guy. 10 seconds in, aren't you whispering to a hammerhead shark like, "Hey, keep an eye on this guy," because like he keeps like causing trouble with his son.
Yeah. I do like the thing with the lashing though, when he's like, that other guy's known for tearing flesh from the bone. He's like, oh, so that was an act of mercy, and he's like, it was. Like, dude, this place is crazy, Will. Like, that was mercy. This is wild. So that some of this stuff is good.
Son.
Yeah, that's dark.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even if
this is the mythology stuff, though, Mike. This is where I'm with you. Where I'm like, if the whole middle half of this movie is just on the Flying Dutchman doing this shit, this movie's good.
Yeah,
it's not all that.
No, because this stuff's working. And then when you find out that like he didn't even care about losing the wager because he just wanted to see where the key was, and then Bill Scars, his dad's like, damn it, now I'm stuck here forever, because he thought he was protecting his son, but he didn't read two steps ahead.
But basically,
I mean,
reveals. It's a very Will is just like, wagering his eternal soul just to get this key, basically, because if he loses, then he would be indebted to Davy Jones. So it's
but theoretically, if he gets the key, they can kill Davy Jones.
Obviously,
so it doesn't
the end
matter.
game is to just kill him, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So exactly,
but,
right. He's playing with house money.
But I think Davy Jones is such a cool character because he has like this whole characterization that makes him interesting. Like he's playing the organ, right?
Hey,
he's
if
like
I could serve on one of these ships, Mike,
he's like heartbroken.
But he's got a great backstory.
You got no TV to watch. You're surviving off people's stories, but you're serving on the Dutchman. There's some jaunty like organ music going in the background. I'm like, you know what? This isn't too bad as I'm swabbing that day.
For eternity,
He's he's obviously a bad guy, but he's sympathetic because he's got this whole backstory where he's like a jilted lover, basically.
I can't remember. I tried to remember.
Because he couldn't, feel the pain, he took his heart out because he didn't want to feel heartache or whatever. Yeah. So he has an interesting story there. And then when he finds out, like, oh, Will's got a girlfriend, he's like, oh, we're going to torture people with girlfriends.
Yeah.
Girlfriends, you say, I am the sea.
Yeah.
Now the physics of his heart, I don't understand how this works, where his heart is keeping him alive, but it's not in his body, it's like in a chest. So how does that work exactly?
It's like D&D rules, magic, whatever. Yeah.
But if you stab the heart, you can kill him, but
I
don't know.
But I think it's cool.
Would you protect that chest in any way, your one vulnerability? Nah, I'm just gonna. Nobody will ever find it. I'm gonna bury it in this little patch of dirt over here, and that is what it is.
And I can only go on land every 10 years.
Key on his person at all times, right? So he's like, as long as I have the key, I know it's safe.
I throw it in a fire. What's it do? The whole thing sets on fire, right?
And then his heart will burn. You get heartburn. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, it hurts. I ate a spicy tuna, Mike.
Oh yeah, spicy salsa and chip. So I like Davy Jones' lore too, because he is kind of like, he takes sailors who are like dying and he's like, you want to extend it, he's not like super antagonistic, like he's kind of almost
except
like
the one time when he's like, there are no survivors, and they all
right.
Which is a good scene. But
he's almost like a force of nature, though. Like he is the sea. Like he's just. I like the Dutchman and his position in the hierarchy of pirate lore. So
same.
Why has he corrupted so much that Bootstrap is saying that it will never end? Like it doesn't matter how long your sentence is. Like it's just we're all stuck here.
We have to serve for 100 years. So theoretically, at the end of 100 years, you can be free. But I guess you would just die after that. So I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a little weird. But
eventually, you become so sea creatured that you never.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You just turn into a shrimp.
That's what happens. You just become a full fish, and then you swim away.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Your second life is a fish.
I wouldn't mind that. That wouldn't. Yeah. Hey.
I could be a shark now. All right. Cool.
I'm a blue whale. Fuck this ship. See you later.
Yeah. I'm gonna go get some krill. That's awesome.
But Will does eventually. He steals the key from Davy Jones, who's sleeping at his organ, which I think is very funny too. Where he's just like sitting up, snoring at his organ.
Yep.
It was a long session. Like the cartoon, like his little like squid things are doing. They're like, oh, Joe! You're like, oh, this is goofy as hell.
Yeah,
I love it.
Will gets the key. He escapes the Flying Dutchman. He goes over to this other ship, which is the same ship that
What if he looked down real quick,
on.
Jacob, as he was leaving, and he was like, "Oh shit!" He had like a big crab hand. He was like, "Oh, that started quick." Like, oh, the rest of the movie, he was just kind of like putting that in his pocket.
Yeah,
you can't hold a sword.
Well, foreshadowing maybe for the future of what happens.
Maybe I think he would become a swordfish.
My
right?
My nose.
Right.
Usopp.
Well, Davy Jones's sword or someone's sword is like a swordfish sword, right? When he's holding Bootstrap, like he's like, "Watch this."
That's right.
Which is cool.
But
all
Will
gets
off the ship,
and he gets to, like you're saying,
goes to this other ship,
boat.
which I feel really badly for this crew who's completely innocent in terms of like they haven't done anything wrong. They're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But the background that we get is that captain says he would never stop in a pirate's port. That's why they won't go to Tortuga at first.
But
I'm
then
a
they
free
do go
man.
to
I've always
Tortuga.
have. And then that other background guy says we stopped at Tortuga and we made a ton of money while we were there. So it actually ended up being like a good thing. Like their adventure's actually going really well for them.
Up until this point.
Yes.
When Will shows up and then he's like, "Oh, I've doomed everybody." It's like, yeah, you kind of did. Like these people didn't need to die. You kind of fucked them over. But he goes over to this other ship and Davy Jones discovers that his key is missing and Will's missing. So he's like, "You know what time it is, boys? It's Kraken time."
It's Kraken
Is this the film that starts the meme "Release the Kraken"?
No.
Or what is that? What is that?
That
from?
was
that's Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans, yeah.
The original.
Oh, of course.
Liam Neeson's.
Of course.
And then Liam Neeson's,
Of course. You're 100%.
Yeah.
The Kraken obviously is a mythological creature that goes back. I don't think Davy Jones was ever like connected to like a Kraken in lore, but I think that's something that's original to this movie.
Do you guys know the opera Bluebeard? A lot of this is kind of stolen from that. The immortal ghost sailing the seas who collects lost sailors' souls. It's all kind of which evolved into the story of Davy Jones and the Flying Dutchman. So it's all it all has these weird roots. I don't know.
I mainly know Davy Jones from SpongeBob, of course.
Yeah.
The Frying Dutchman, isn't it?
Exactly.
Isn't that?
It's the Frying Dutchman.
Yeah, the Frying Dutchman.
Loved it. But like, I like that he's connected with the Kraken though, and like it's fine. Like it makes sense. Like that's his watchdog. You know, he sends it out. It's like cool.
The Kraken itself looks cool, right? I really, when you see the end shot in its mouth, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's something I looked up when I was doing my research is when they were making the Kraken, they didn't really have a reference of like what should it look like. And they were like, okay, let's watch King Kong versus Godzilla 1963.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a creature in that's very similar. So they use that as a reference point for this Kraken.
There's a big octopus in there. Yep. And allegedly they ate it after they were done filming. That's probably an urban legend. But anyway.
The old boy did, Mike?
It has been said, but I can't confirm. But I remember the big octopus crushing the houses and stuff, the little miniatures.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
They use that as reference for the tentacles and everything.
Yeah.
And then, of course, its mouth in the middle is kind of very Sarlacc-y, like, oh, you don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
But this ship kind of gets screwed over because, first Will sees, of course, Elizabeth's wedding dress, and he's like, "Where'd you get that dress?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a spirit, of course." But then they call the Kraken by, they have this thing that they push, right? The circular thing that makes the pounding noise into the water that calls the Kraken.
Really cool.
All like very cool. And the Kraken attacks the ship.
I guess a spoiler for the next one, but are we supposed to believe? Do all these people just go to another dimension? Because is that where the Kraken's mouth takes you, right?
Oh, geez.
Well, with Jack Sparrow, he's at World's End or whatever, but I don't know how that works. So maybe we have to wait and see how
figure out the mechanics.
I think he's the only one there, but yeah.
Yeah, the mechanics.
Well, there's some supernatural stuff you have to do to even get. Like he's basically dead. Like at World's End is like a purgatory type of situation, right?
Here's the strength of this movie, and we'll talk about it in the last scene. Like you keep saying, Jacob, the last line is literally "Watch the next movie." But the strength of this film is the second this ended, I was like, I kind of do want to watch this immediately.
Well, and you get a great, obviously, character reveal, which we'll talk about. And I was super hyped, and I was like, hell yeah!
I forgot about that too. So we'll get there.
Yeah, but this Kraken attacks the ship. Yeah, it's pulling
Cracking,
people
attacking.
with its tentacles and everything.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando, or Will Turner, I should say, escapes, and he's the only survivor of this whole ship. That he went on and caused problems for this ship and got this entire crew killed. And then he's just like, "Whoops, sorry,
Right.
I'm out of here." And then he stows away in the mouth on the head of the Flying Dutchman. Right, it's got like that swordfish mouth or whatever. That's like the head of it, and he kind of hides out there because he knows that it's going. Now it's chasing after because it knows that Davy Jones knows that Jack Sparrow is going after the chest, so they go after the chest as well.
Yeah.
Wherever they end up will be where the chest is, I guess. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure will.
Of course. So they're doubling.
So they all meet up on this island where Davy Jones, the dead man's chest, is buried, and so we have Jack Sparrow, Elizabeth,
like we said,
Norrington. Yeah,
Elizabeth has been trying to fuck Jack by this point. Sorry, go ahead.
There's some weird flirting scenes.
There is some stuff where, as a kid, I was angry. Where I was like, "That's not your boyfriend. Like, you have a boyfriend. Cut this out."
But I think it's
getting worked up.
Again, I don't know how much she actually wants it, or how much is just manipulating Jack. But she's using Jack because at the end we see her. She seduces Jack, but it's for other motives.
But the speech he gives about, you want to be married, and again, the word marriage in this PG-13 movie means fuck. If you replace it in this wedding night,
are we to believe that Will and Elizabeth have never had sex up to this point? They were saving it for marriage.
That is why they are so desperate to get married. You feel it when they're in that cage scene where he's like, "We would do it right now if we could." Like, he says that to her.
I mean, the father reacts to it too. He breaks the candelabra.
It's a movie about people getting cucked, okay?
Yeah.
Dang.
But Jack, Jack is definitely wanting to fuck her.
Yes,
I just don't know how much of hers is just of manipulating.
Super funny. Super funny, real quick. She says, because she's still in cabin boy mode at this point, remember? Yeah. I get it. It's all joke.
Yeah,
But she says, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, lad. I appreciate the love." Yeah, he's like, he plays it like he's a boy. And then she's like, "No, it's me." And he's like, he kind of like
hide the rum.
I don't care. He's like,
hide the rum.
And that's when he says, "Hide the rum." Yeah.
We're starting to beat that horse a little bit too much too, though. The rum bit. It's like, okay.
Say it like 15 times.
The rum too. The rum too. The rum too.
The rum's gone. Why is it? If this was a dream, it'll have rum in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wait until the third one. That's when it gets really bad.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like when Keira Knightley gives him the tip. She's like, "Look over there," boy voice. Like she just, I'm not buying this.
There's something, Captain.
Like she sets up this whole elaborate thing, and they still don't notice.
How is she puppeting that thing? How is she doing that? Yes.
I don't know. It's great.
She's super clever.
It points. That's so crazy.
Caught the wind right. But we're on the island now, all the factions.
Yeah, we're at the end here. It's they touch ground. Everybody comes together. Norrington looking handsome as shit at this point. He has washed everything away, so you just see the beard and the long hair. He's kind of sobered up. And then this is
more rugged than the first movie, so he's looking, he's looking good. Yeah,
it's like a snack.
Looking good. As they go through this fight scene, here's the issue, because it culminates with the fish people coming and then Davy Jones saying, "Not for a decade I can touch the sand, so you gotta go." And they're all like, "Yeah, you got it." When our Rosenkrantz and Guildenstern are running away, truly, guys, in my mind was like, right, they got to get away from the savages. And then when it was the shark people, I was like,
it's the shark
people, that was that was like 2 hours ago. Like, I felt so lost in time, and it felt like the exact same thing was happening.
Okay, I like this island scene though, because I'll tell you,
I don't like the island. The set is slightly boring, but the sequences of events, it's flat and boring.
It is,
but the action is
just
fun.
white beach.
The conflicting motivations of all the characters, where they dig up the chest, and I do like this scene. We finally get Will and Elizabeth reunited. They have not been together on screen this entire movie. We're about an hour and 45 minutes into the movie when they are first appear on screen together, other than the first scene when they're in prison. So that's kind of interesting. And then you get this duel between these three men that all are either in love with Elizabeth or want to have sex with her in Jack's case, and all want this heart of Davy Jones.
It's like the heart of Davy Jones, a metaphor for the heart of Elizabeth Swan.
It's three men fighting over a heart. It is what, like, these screenwriters, you can feel them being like, this is actually pretty good, right?
And then the studio says,
I will agree.
Cannibal Island. And they're like, damn it. I don't want to.
Well, he's not going to say, like, Nidgy Widgy Pidgey Woojoo, so we'll be fine. Oh, he did?
No, they were probably fine.
You wanted this.
Back in that day. I'll say this. You might be thinking, how can I connect this to my favorite TV show, Doctor Who?
You know, I was just thinking that, actually.
Well, first
Norrington?
of all, Norrington, played by Jack Davenport. This is kind of a strange connection, but he was the lead of a show called Coupling, a British TV show, a sitcom that was Stephen Moffat's first show that he created before Sherlock and before he wrote for Doctor Who.
Kind of
so
like
he was
a
the lead
Friends coupling?
Essentially, yeah, it's about friends and relationships and kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was the lead of that. He also is married to Michelle Gomez, who would play Missy, the female version of the Master in the Peter Capaldi era.
Star of My Doom Patrol and Sabrina, dog. I love Michelle Gomez. I did not know she was married to Jack Davenport. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Also, we forgot to mention the Black Spot, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Famous pirate thing that I wanted to mention.
Famous. We'll talk about it a little more because it's maybe in another puppeting program.
That's where I've learned. That's where I learned it.
I will shout out famous for our fantasy football chat where we constantly claim that we are sending each other the black spot, the curse. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe how this started was I would root for other people that I was not playing against, or I would say, go Joe, right? And then Joe would say, oh, whenever you say that, I lose. You're giving me the black spot. And so that's how it started, is that I specifically could give people the black spot because I'm a bad omen.
Yeah.
Which, maybe it's true.
But now it's evolved to, like, if you're cheering for anyone else to, like, beat another person, that's a black spot. Yeah.
You're trying to reverse jinx them, essentially.
You're yeah, exactly.
So that's
part of our parlance.
Yeah.
I believe this was this created by Robert Louis Stevenson in Treasure Island?
Yes,
was that the first appearance of the black spot?
Or it's him taking the mythology of the pirates and adapting, but I think the first time in literature for sure.
Well, there is an episode of Doctor Who in the Matt Smith second season called The Curse of the Black Spot, where they go to a pirate ship in the past and they're trying to like solve a mystery because people like keep dying on the ship or something. So I just want to shout that out.
Shout it out. No,
but I do like how the black spot is like a thing that just like appears on his skin and stuff. It's like a very like supernatural thing in this. It's kind of a cool.
You've been marked. You're a marked man.
Cool angle. Yeah.
It's a good way to take a page from the Bible and put a spot on it and hand it to somebody. It's like, okay.
Yes.
But they did have a Bible in the beginning. They could have done it that way too.
Right.
I'm thinking about the movie we're going to talk about when Billy Connolly hands it. It's the funniest. It's so goddamn funny. Just get ready, listeners.
Yeah, I'm so ready.
I'm so ready.
But here's my problem with the end scene.
Yes.
Like there's good stuff with like the heart metaphor, but then again hijinks. We have to escalate so much to Waterwheel Town, and then it's like the swashbuckling is nice.
The sword fight I like. I think it goes on too long. It gets a little too crazy. We didn't need them in a giant hamster wheel. The climbing the building was okay. I like the stunts and everything. Yeah. They didn't need to be rolling in a wheel for like 5 minutes.
I just wonder, like, who's the coordinator or who is designing these? That they're like, when I think pirates, I think constantly rolling boulders and water wheels. It's like,
I
you're
legit
not
think
doing
that
a stunt show.
Yeah,
I think that Disney was legit like, we need like some big action set pieces. I don't know what it's going to be, but we need some showstoppers for people to be like, you're never going to believe this like wheel scene.
If I was the writer, I would raise my hand and be like, they're fighting fish people. I promise you this is going to be as exciting as the skeleton stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And like the first movie isn't known for big stunts. Like what big crazy thing happens?
What was
really
good
nothing.
about the first movie was good because of the characters and the plot was like interesting, not because they needed these big show-stopping stunts. And I would argue even the the finale fight against the Kraken on the Black Pearl is more interesting than this wheel scene that goes on too
100%.
long.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
You don't need all that. What we like about this is when it is focusing on the characters and the metaphor of the three men fight, all that stuff we like.
Yeah. And I do like how, this heart keeps getting passed between these different characters. At one point, Jack takes it out of the chest, puts it in his jar of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Our Rosencrantz and Guildenstern get the chest. Everyone's trying to get this heart. It ends up in the jar of dirt. Then Norrington takes it from the jar of dirt, right, along with the papers, the pardon.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is now making his move to take all that stuff and go back to Beckett, right, and try to get pardoned.
Lies to Elizabeth and says that he's going to sacrifice himself, basically, to set up that he's the good guy. But we see at the
he
end
does
this
help them in that he leads the all the Davy Jones crew away from them and allows them to escape. So
and then tricks. He's got the false chest, right, and he's already stolen the actual heart.
Yes, and Jack thinks, of course, that he has the heart in this jar of dirt.
Yep.
So we get this I do like this scene. I think this was also very much improv by Johnny Depp. But when he's like, "I got a jar of dirt," like to Davy Jones, but I also like how he starts by just like completely like wiping out and losing his shit and falling down the stairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think like, Jack Sparrow is just he just walks around so hammered all the time that he just like falls down sometimes.
Yeah.
He's got sea legs.
Yeah.
He's failing upwards. That's like Jack's character. Like he fails upwards, right? That's the best.
He's about to make this like very big speech and then he just completely eats shit on these stairs. And it's very funny.
You have heard of me. It's exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a jar of dirt.
I saw a summarization that Jack Sparrow is the guy who fails every reflex save, every dexterity save, every save you can do, except for the saving throw. He survives the near death experience. So I was like, yeah, that's great.
His luck stat is maxed out.
Yes.
So and then he's like, it's all about the proper leverage, and he's got his jar of dirt, and then the jar of dirt immediately falls and like smashes open. He's like, "Where's the heart? Where's the heart?"
Yep.
Knows the heart's gone. So now nobody knows where the heart is other than Norrington, which is very interesting, maybe for the next movie. But we get this our final action set piece of the movie is the Kraken being set upon the Black Pearl. And so they have to fight off the Kraken. Will kind of knows from experience of having seen the Kraken before. He's like, "Oh, get the cannons out on the left side. That's where it's going to emerge from," and all this stuff. They've got this whole plan to put all the gunpowder in this net so they can blow it up and everything.
Yes, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even the rum.
Now, what did you guys think of this whole set piece?
I think this is appropriate. This is what you should have had. Yeah. We have to defeat the Kraken. And ideally you would do that, then kill Davy Jones, and we never make a third movie. And this is resolved. This whole thing is just resolved in this movie. But I like this as it is in context. But yeah.
It's good. And again, I guess the only problem I have is that the only survivors of this whole attack are, again, the named characters that we know.
Yeah.
It's very much like, the rest of the crew just died. Like every other crew member other than the guys that we know have died. But yeah,
the plot armor is extremely strong in these movies for sure.
Yeah,
it is.
Even when you die, you don't die. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
seems like we'll learn at the end of this film.
And so we get this scene of Jack at first is rowing away in a rowboat, escaping. He's like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here." Then he looks back. He has a change of heart. He's like, "You know what? I want to be a good guy for once." Goes back. He's like, "I'm here to, save the day or whatever."
Tells everyone else to abandon ship, I think. Right?
Yeah. Well, they defeat the Kraken in the short term. They're like, we just made it angry. He'll be back, or she'll be back, whatever gender the Kraken is. It's only the named characters left, like 6 characters. They're like, we have to abandon ship. We have to get to land. And so they're all getting in the rowboat. And this is where we have the scene where Elizabeth seduces Jack, kisses him, which Will sees, and then shackles him to the Black Pearl and says, like, it's not the pearl that the Kraken's after, it's you. So you need to stay on ship and go down with the ship, basically. And then they all get away.
Yep.
And he faces the Kraken, gets a bunch of gross slime spit on him, gets his hat back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
which I like. I like all that stuff.
And his special effects look incredible. It doesn't look like weird compositing when he's charging at it. I fully believe he's there. It doesn't look like he just gets like wiped out in green screen nonsense. I love it.
Yeah.
No, the quality of the effects definitely holds up here. So I think that's pretty good. Little like end set piece.
And so they all go to Tia Dalma's, and they're like, oh, and we see, of course, the Black Pearl gets pulled down. It's very emotional.
Very iconic.
We love that ship. Gets pulled underwater by the Kraken.
Yep.
And
cool visual.
Yeah, they go back to Tia Dalma. The rest of the crew that's left alive, they're all like drinking some rum or whatever, lifting a glass to Jack Sparrow.
Will Turner is being extremely annoying, just throwing a knife over and over into the piece of wood right by him, and you're like, buddy.
Well, he just saw his wife like kiss Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
He's like thinking about that probably.
But couldn't we have a conversation? Like, it was that was tactical, Will. That was tactical. Yep. I'm sorry.
No, because he is fully flipped. Because the end of this film is him saying like, "I would do anything to get Jack Sparrow back. I love that guy."
And I hate that.
That's what a wild position you ended up with. He's 5,000 times in 2 films now. It's like to have any sort of anchor onto him is ridiculous. He's a character.
He tried to give you away to the Davy Jones for a 1-to-1 trade. He was just going to leave you there forever if he could have.
He's going to trade your eternal soul for his.
Yeah.
But they're all there and they're like, if only there was a way to bring him back. And then Tia Dalma was like, oh, maybe there is.
Would ya if you could ya?
And this is what we get, of course. They'll say, I.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what
Elizabeth says yes.
Elizabeth says yes. It really annoyed me.
Why are you doing
It's
that?
like, say I, you are a pirate now.
Not
Why
yet.
did you say yes?
Yes.
Can we get another take?
But then she's
and then
like,
here's our guy, Apple and all.
Let's bring him out. Our
you
boy.
need captain to sail to the world's end, which is the name of the next picture, starting in 20 minutes down the hall.
And we filmed it at the same time.
In order to do that, you need a captain. Cut to, what are you having for dinner, mates? And he takes a big bite of an apple. It's our boy Jeffrey Rush. How are you?
It's great. He's got his monkey. He's got his apple. We love him, Jeffrey Rush.
Did they need the monkey to resurrect him? Did she take the undead powers from the monkey and put it into his lifeless body? Is that what happened?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I do have some questions. Like, why does she have Barbossa's body? How did he come back from the dead? Maybe that'll be explained in the next one. I'm not sure.
I don't remember the mechanics of it. Yeah, but
let's set up some predictions for the next one before we jump over to our final thoughts here.
Yeah.
We kind of glanced over the big history evolving things for Jack Sparrow in this film. We know the Lord Barrister, or whatever his name is the guy who branded him with the P. He took something from me. It's kind of hinted at. We don't really know what their verse
each
is.
Other. Yeah.
We've left our mark on each other. What mark did Jack leave on you?
And he doesn't answer.
Whatever this deal, or whatever caused the deal, because it wasn't the marooning. Why did Jack need the pearl resurrected from the deep, and why did he make the 13-year deal? Because I'd say that was all way before he met Barbossa, you'd imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all stuff. That's all prequel stuff, I guess, that they could explore at a prequel.
Yeah. Oh no.
Well, it's not brought up in the next one. You guys don't think?
I don't remember, honestly.
Me neither. I've only seen him once. I have a question. Why are we not killing Davy Jones right away? Why are we not just stab the heart the minute we get it? Why do we need him alive?
Well, okay, that's because Will wanted to kill him, and then Jack is like, no, if you do that, there'll be no one to call off his beastie, right?
Beastie will still come for me. Why would that be? Why would the Kraken still be coming for you if Davy Jones is still alive?
And we could get on the boat and use the hammer thing, and it'll tell it to go home or whatever, you know?
Norrington being like, we need this for pardons. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But like, also like, we can stab it. Like, I don't know, dude. We can give him like any heart. Let's just lie.
Yeah, a pardon guy wants to control the Kraken, I'd assume. So that's why you need the heart going. But whatever.
It's a civilized world where there's no mystery. Of course, I keep things in control by controlling a giant octopus by using a dead man's heart. Okay, well, that's a little counter the world you're presenting. Interesting.
Right.
Yep. The edges of the map are filled out.
Yeah, but I mean, I know in the next one we'll get like the Council of Pirates, and we'll get Keith.
I remember
Yeah.
I remember two things, but isn't it also the one where Paul McCartney's in it, or is it just Keith?
No, he's in another one where he plays.
He's in another one.
Uncle Paul or something. One. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me sick.
That's in either 4 or 5. I don't know which one.
That makes me sick. I remember Keith Richards, and I remember there's definitely a moment where we see some kind of flashback where Bill Nye is a human, right?
Maybe.
I've only seen these ones.
Okay. Yeah.
And
one of these we're getting up to you haven't seen, Mike. The fourth one you have not seen, right?
Not seen the fourth one.
That's incredible. I'm very
seen
excited
all of them
for that
once.
Yes.
Yep.
We get Chow Yun Fat as like the head of the Chinese pirates.
He's as the actual, I believe he's Zhang Feng, the actual pirate, right? The Chinese pirate.
And then they're like I can't remember the name. There's a famous female Chinese pirate too that like took over everything. She was like a super badass. She started out as a prostitute, then took over the ship, and then fucking had a whole fleet. It's like really badass. Right. But I'll look that up before the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a lot more pirate lore in the next one and stuff, and we'll see
I
how
appreciate
that goes.
getting the lore of other country pirates because pirating was happening anywhere there's a boat. So that's kind of neat. But I think we're walking the plank here. We're dangerously close to the edge of it as far as this franchise is concerned.
That's right. It might be time for the Curse of the Cobb's quiz.
Oh, yes. Let's do it.
After this?
Yes.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we are going to be wrapping things up here, talking Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. But of course, as we do in our long-form series, in our third segment here, we are going to be doing a little quiz. And in fact, it's the return of the podcast of the Caribbean Dead Man's Quiz. That's what I want to call it. That's what it is.
That's right.
Right.
The Dead Man's Quiz. I love it.
Podcast the Caribbean Dead Man's Quiz.
Dead Man's Quiz. Let's get right into it. I got some good questions here. I've got a great final question that I think will be very fun. Let's jump into it.
Let's do
true
it.
Or false?
One finger for true, 1, 2 for false.
Yeah, you do it. If you're watching along, you'll see Mike and I playing, blah, blah, blah. Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Question number 1. This movie was originally going to be about finding the Fountain of Youth before Davy Jones and all that stuff. True or false?
Okay. I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
True.
We both said true. Okay.
True. That is true. And this is a little foreshadowing because, Colin, as you may remember, that's the plot of the 4th movie is finding the Fountain of Youth.
That's what they're doing?
Yes.
I did not. That's great.
Well, I mean,
so they're like, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll save that for, later.
It's not good enough for now, but keep it in case we need a slightly worse idea later.
Yeah. In case we can only get Johnny Depp back and none of the other original characters.
Yeah.
And then we'll do something with
that. Bootstrap Bill stuff totally makes sense to me. And I was really thinking this time how much restraint it goes into that they didn't do something like, well, and of course, Elizabeth, you remember that your mother is a mermaid, or like something where it's like, that's why your father, the governor, is so against you going out to the sea because, of course, he fell in love with a mermaid. I know, but just that she was tied more into that world. That showed great restraint to me. I don't believe we've ever explored her mother in this entire franchise, but whatever.
I don't think so. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next question.
Double true. We did it.
Yep, one each.
Double true. You both got that.
I mean,
they
were looking for the Fountain of Youth and gold and stuff, like the colonizers. That was part of the. Hey, try to find the Fountain of Youth, dog. I'll pay you.
Right.
Take this boat. So.
Absolutely. El Dorado.
Yeah, great movie.
So stay tuned for the 4th movie because that'll be interesting to see.
Can't wait to see it for the first time.
Next question. The legendary pirate Blackbeard was originally going to play a role in this movie. True or false?
Yeah, I'm locked in.
Lock them in. Lock them in. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Locked in. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
I did
false.
True.
That is false.
Oh, Colin's got to leave.
Again, stay tuned for On Stranger Tides because Blackbeard will be in that one. But that was a little red herring to throw you guys off.
Yeah.
There also didn't seem to be an obsession with named characters in this one because I couldn't think of any of the other supporting cast. Isn't
other than Davy
Yeah.
Jones, which is like.
well, I guess other than Davy Jones. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But stay tuned because Blackbeard will make an appearance in this franchise at one point.
Nice. All right.
Maybe played by like the head of a hotel that protects assassins. I don't know. Hint, hint.
Hint,
All right, next question. This movie was banned in China. True or false?
Okay. Let me think. Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you why if it was.
I think I'm ready, and I might know if we'll see. I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm locked.
Ready?
in.
3,
Yeah.
2, 1, reveal.
True.
True.
That is true.
Can
you
I
know
guess
why? Yeah.
Because
No
of the-
ghosts.
Yeah, because of the weird ghost thing. But do these count as ghosts? Because I was thinking the
Well-
first one for sure.
Yeah. So give
It's
us the
actually not
scoop.
ghosts.
Oh. Wow.
It is because of cannibalism. There's cannibalism in the movie, and they
Oh.
apparently
A scene that you could
cannibalism.
easily
Can't
cut.
give them the idea. They can't. They
Right.
can't be encouraged to
Yeah.
know that exists.
No.
Okay.
Well, we're hungry.
It does.
So there you go. Yeah. It was banned
Wow.
because of cannibalism.
And you could have easily
Um,
just chopped that scene and released it anyway. 'Cause that whole thing
Right,
was
that was
stupid.
the least necessary scene in the movie, arguably.
Uh-huh.
Post-cred scene, because while we were watching and I was like, that's right, as they're escaping, the dog gets them out. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, why did I remember something about the cannibals and the dog? Did you guys watch the post-cred
Well, the
scene?
dog. No, I didn't see the post credit.
No, yeah.
there was a post credit scene.
The dog becomes the god of the cannibals. He's the
Oh,
new
okay.
thing in the chair.
Yeah, the last. we
That's
see
why
is
it's
the
running
dog is
away.
just running
Yeah.
away
Yes.
from the
Which
cannibals.
implies that they're going to eat him,
Yes.
which I don't
Yes.
love.
No, he's the god. He's in charge now, Mike.
He's a good boy.
boy.
Even bringing the dog
Again,
with
that
the
dog
keys
is,
back, unnecessary.
I think they'll bring him back in the third one too. But again, that
Oh,
dog is a
God.
reference. Is a direct reference to the ride, which the dog with the keys is a
They-
feature of the
Okay.
ride.
Jonathan Price, when Keira Knightley has walked up, says, now where's that dog with those keys?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Everybody
I don't
knows
like
he's got
that.
those keys. They don't
It's
have a real
like-
jailer.
Like, it can't just be his job.
That's all. It's the only thing this dog
Yeah.
does have keys. Oh, jeez. All right.
Uh,
Yeah. By
So-
the way, when this movie came out, they updated. This was when they updated the ride to include Jack. I think Barbosa and Davy Jones were
Cool.
added to the ride.
Whoa, that's
Cool.
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 So
That
there
is
you go.
cool.
If everything else is normal and then like it's just about seeing pirate people and the last scene is a squid man playing the organ, I would be like, this ride
very
is
strange, yeah.
wild.
He's
Again,
gonna come
Tortuga
back.
is a
Yeah.
direct reference to the ride because it's like essentially the same
Right.
scene.
Yep.
Even
Right.
the band in the Tortuga and this one, the band that plays in the bar is
Mhm.
those pirates look exactly like the ones in the ride apparently.
Okay.
So
The close up of the guys each breaking a bottle over their head, I had to assume that was
Yes.
Yeah.
and you guys
Sure.
have never seen the ride, right?
No.
I've
No.
seen it. I've been to Disneyland in Florida and seen the ride.
Wow.
So
I should watch a
Yeah.
4K amusement park.
For the
POV.
last episode, we
I got a
were,
VR
Mike.
headset.
We'll
I
review
could
it.
do that. I could 360
Oh,
it.
that's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah.
it's essentially
Alright.
it's like a river ride where you go through and you see different scenes of pirates and stuff. So
Yeah.
And then Johnny
Yeah.
at the end tells you he was having a mega pint. And you're like,
Mhm. Bye, Savage.
what did Jack Sparrow say?
savvy.
Savvy.
All right, next
He
question.
says savvy to the cannibals. He says like unga bunga savvy. It's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
worst.
Unicky
Yeah.
snip snip. Yeah, I hate it all.
Mikey says unicky snip snip no
Yeah.
balls or something like that.
Yeah.
He goes,
He
balls.
points at him like,
Basically,
"Eh."
every line that he was known for in the first one gets brought back somehow in this one. They're like, we can't forget, any of these lines. Like people
Parlay.
need to remember. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Hello,
a movie
Poppet.
of
yeah.
two faces. Yeah.
He says hello, Poppet, when he sees her again.
When they
Mhm.
realize, like when she goes for her sword, and she's like, I don't have a sword, and they're like, hello, Poppet. But yeah.
Yep.
All right, next question. What's the
This
score?
movie.
I'm so
Colin's
mixed.
ahead.
I'm up one. Yeah.
He's up 1. Yeah. 3-2.
All right. Gore Verbinski originally wanted Davy Jones to be Dutch, as in the Flying Dutchman. True or false?
I'm ready.
I'm locked in. Yeah.
Lock him in. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
I'm
True?
going false on
Ooh.
that.
Split.
That is true.
We're
Okay.
equal.
And then Bill Nye was like, "Well, I don't do Dutch, so we settled on Scottish."
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, but you know what? Mads Mikkelsen, not Dutch, but would have been a good Davy Jones at this time. Maybe that would have been cool.
Or Stellan Skarsgård. I mean,
Yeah,
like, that's Scandinavian.
That's why I think you originally thought they were swapped.
I had them confused. Yeah.
But the British actor playing the British guy's father makes more sense than the Swedish guy. It's so weird.
That's in the Knight's Tale version where we have Kate Beckinsale.
Well, again, this
and Heath
reminds
Ledger.
me of, and I'm going to make another Doctor Who reference, unfortunately.
Thank you.
There's an episode, pretty well-known episode called Vincent and the Doctor, where they go back to Vincent Van Gogh. Yes. Yeah, which Bill Nye is in, coincidentally, but that's not the reason I'm talking about it. Because Vincent Van Gogh, who is like Dutch or what was he? Holland is Dutch, right?
He is Dutch.
Yeah. So he's Dutch, but the actor that plays him is doing a Scottish accent in that episode, and then they make a joke because so Amy Pond, played by Karen Gillan, is also Scottish, and when he hears her voice, he's like, "Oh, are you Dutch like me?" Because they're both doing Scottish accents. So it's very funny. I don't know why Scottish becomes Dutch all the time.
Right? Do they do Van Gogh or do they do the Van Gogh now?
Van Gogh is what they say. Yeah.
Sure.
So I guess that's how you pronounce his name.
I guess that's how you're supposed to. We were all taught wrong. So.
Yeah.
I said
that one has a great scene at the end where
I still say gyro.
Oh, sure. That one has a great scene in the end where the Doctor takes Vincent Van Gogh to the future. He goes and sees a museum because Van Gogh famously died poor and nobody knew who he was. He never sold a painting in his life and all this stuff. And so he goes back he shows him this museum exhibit, and then has Bill Nye, the museum guide or whatever. He asks him, how would you describe like the art of Van Gogh? And then it's a very emotional scene where he's like, Van Gogh is the greatest painter of all time and all this stuff. So anyways,
showing him his legacy.
Okay. Side tangent.
He's like crying as he's listening to it. I've seen that scene.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's really good.
Anyways.
All right.
Next question.
I'm ready.
Matt Smith says, "Were you ever an octopus?"
Yeah. The texture of Davy Jones' skin was made by scanning a dirty coffee cup.
I mean, it looks remarkable.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Reveal.
True.
One false or split again.
That's true. That's true.
Colin's up one.
They scanned a dirty coffee cup to get the texture of his skin right.
Mike,
interesting.
In Dungeons & Dragons, was there a Mind Flayer? I can't remember in Heroes.
No.
In Baldur's Gate 3 there was.
No, but in the Honor Amongst Thieves,
plot.
There was not.
Man, when I watch this now with you saying that, how is the main villain in the next one not a Mind Flayer with this tech? It looks so good.
Dude, right? Yeah. Especially with Baldur's Gate popularity, they should use Mind Flayers in the sequel if they make it.
Absolutely.
Bring Bill Nye back and have his character be named Mewtwo.
Oh, yes.
You're like,
Now we all know, yes.
Yeah.
Davy
Next
Brains.
question.
Yes.
How funny was it that Van Gogh scene had 2 references to this movie, I guess. I don't know. Very strange.
It's incredible. And the Scottish thing. Yeah.
The Scottish thing, yeah. And Bill Nye was in it.
Very weird.
All right. Zoe Saldana was originally slated to come back for a cameo in the scene where Elizabeth goes to Tortuga.
Why would it just be a cameo?
I don't know. Is that true or false, though?
Oh, yeah, I'm locked in.
Lock them in. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
True.
Real?
I want to believe.
I gotcha. That was false. That was false.
She was just done. Okay.
Like I said on the last one, notoriously she had a terrible experience on set, almost quit acting, according to her, due to that movie. So no, she did not come back. Or she was not planning to come back.
I don't know if this is stepping on any of your quiz questions, Jacob, but this is a cool bit of trivia I saw while I was reading about this film. Keira Knightley's hair, is this one of your questions?
It is, actually.
Okay, I will hold off. Please go right ahead, then.
All right. You definitely already know the answer. This was literally the next question, but
okay.
we can do it.
I don't know, so.
Please go right ahead.
Yeah. Keira Knightley wore hair extensions for this movie. True or false?
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm assuming you might know the answer. Lock him in. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
After that, I get it wrong. I go, no, it's false. No, it is true.
Yeah. It is true. And of course, Colin, you know why. It's because of her role in Tony Scott's Domino.
And the reason that I wanted to shout it out was literally because I shouted out Domino last episode as my favorite Keira Knightley role. So I was like, oh, this is where they are in the timeline. I just thought of that to say that to go, where was Zoe Saldana on this timeline? Like, I don't know what she was doing that she couldn't.
This is pre-Avatar, she's
prepping for Star Trek.
Star Trek, Star Trek was 2008.
She might be on Pandora. She might have shot that and then done all that stuff while they're making it, right?
Yep.
Sure.
That makes sense. Because we're in 2006 for this one.
All right, what's the score? Who's winning?
It is
between you two.
5-4. Colin is up 1.
All right, I've got 2 more questions.
5.
Oh, also, I just think that's also interesting because obviously that's what makes her in the boy scenes really work. She has the hair tucked because of the hat, but obviously that's just her real hair. It's just short.
She's got a short hairdo.
Oh, huh. That makes perfect sense.
Very clever. Very smart.
Yeah.
If the hat was a workaround, it was a good call.
Very clever.
Yeah, she looks good. It's a good pirate outfit.
Yeah.
There's a woman on board.
And Baldur's Gate gave all my people little triangle hats.
Probably naked probably a virgin.
Damn. Yeah, you're right. This movie was funny.
It's insane.
Yeah.
All right, I've got 1 more true false and then 1 very interesting question, which I think will be fun.
Okay.
So first, this was the highest grossing movie of 2006. True or false?
Okay.
Definitely locked in.
Lock them in. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'm on false.
That is true. That is true. Colin. It was the highest grossing movie of 2006, and it broke the record for the highest grossing opening weekend at the time for a movie ever, breaking the record from Spider-Man in 2002, which was then later broken by Spider-Man 3 a year later in 2007.
Wow.
So there you go.
Fun facts. I thought the loss of China money would have affected it, but
that's a good
That's
call.
where I went.
I don't know if I guess I didn't see if this was worldwide or domestic, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, either way. For US, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is this step on your toes if I say a Rotten Tomatoes thing? Do you have a question about that?
No.
So we didn't shout out, quick correction. We talked about how good the performance was last time. Johnny Depp was nominated for an Academy Award.
Yes, and this does lead into my question very well, actually.
Okay, well, I'll pause that there to say that those films were so well received, that first film, high 90s for Rotten Tomatoes. This has a 50. This is a 54 on Rotten Tomatoes. Huge drop off. Not a well-received film, despite the fact that it did make that big box
Interesting.
office.
Not critically well received, but obviously financially it did pretty well.
Everyone
I think
wanted
it's
to
like
see
75 audience score. I think people liked it still. So,
well, Colin, that was a perfect lead into my last question.
Interesting.
Like you said, he was nominated for an Oscar for Jack Sparrow, his first nomination ever. Didn't win, obviously, but don't you think? And this was for leading actor too, which I feel he's more of a supporting actor in the Black Pearl.
In the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
And would have swept that if he was supporting, for sure.
Right. And then don't you think that if he should get a leading nomination, that Jeffrey Rush should have got a Best Supporting Actor for that movie?
Oh, dog, yes.
We shout it out. That's why I feel so dumb not bringing it up, because I literally said in that last episode, how was Jeffrey Rush not nominated for an Academy Award for it? He's so good.
He is. But that leads perfectly into my last question, which is, so of course, Jack Sparrow was nominated in Black Pearl. How many actors in this movie were either nominated or won an Oscar in their careers? So think about all the different actors.
Total lifetime.
Yeah. And so I don't know if either you're going to get it exactly, but here's what we'll do. You each think about it for a minute. Say a number, whoever's closest, and then I can list them off basically.
3 5s. 6 7s. Doesn't go up to 7.
But just think about all the actors in this cast, whether they were nominated for an Oscar.
I'm gonna say my number, and then I'm gonna say the names that I have behind them. So, Mike, if you don't mind going first,
I'll just say 7, and it's just kind of a rough count. Then you go ahead with your number and your names.
I'm gonna say Jonathan Pryce. I'm gonna say Bill Nighy. I'm gonna say. I don't think Keira Knightley's ever been up for Academy Award. Don't bust me here, Jacob. But this is my logic. So I'm gonna say Johnny Depp. So that's 3. Jeffrey Rush wins 1 for King's Speech, I think, maybe for Best Supporting, but again, don't confirm for me, so I'll say 4.
Well, then I had additionally Skarsgård included, Keira Knightley maybe for Pride and Prejudice.
Skarsgård.
And that's at 6, and 7 is just like a flyer. There has to be someone else famous in this thing.
Skarsgård been nominated for an Academy Award. I don't know, dog.
I just think on how much I like him I don't know my Oscar trivia, but I think he's talented
he's a great
enough.
actor.
Yeah, so that doesn't always reflect
it was for Mamma Mia, Best Supporting Actor. Like, wow.
Wow.
I believe Meryl Streep
And
was
Pierce
nominated.
Brosnan.
Yep. So where do we land?
Well, so you say 7, you say 4. Should I reveal the true answer now?
Yes, please.
I will say Mike was closer. We're not doing Price is Right rules. The answer is 6.
Oh,
wow.
So I might extra one that I didn't have a name for, but who was it?
And you kind of you almost got the right number, but not in the right way, because Stellan Skarsgård has not been nominated for an Oscar.
Okay.
The closest thing is he won a Golden Globe for Chernobyl, which is a miniseries.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. But he's never been nominated for an Oscar, which is interesting. You're forgetting one person, which I'll mention in a minute, but you have Johnny Depp, who, first of all, he's been nominated 3 times, and it was all in a 4-year period, which I think is interesting.
Can I say one of them is Sweeney Todd, right?
Yes, so it's Black Pearl.
So crazy.
It's Black Pearl in 2004, Finding Neverland in 2005, and then Sweeney Todd in 2008. Yeah, those are the only 3 noms in his life, and he's never won.
J.M. Barrie, Finding Neverland. Wow.
So 3 nominations in a 4-year period, and then hasn't been nominated since. Very strange. Keira Knightley has been nominated twice.
What?
2005, Pride and Prejudice, and 2014, The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch. You might have forgot the Alan Turing biopic. You might have.
The film that ends with them saying that the Turing machines eventually become computers. You're right. Damn.
Yeah. Damn. The Imitation Game. So she's been nominated twice, never won. Orlando Bloom has never been nominated, surprisingly enough.
100%. Can I interject here real quick and say, I forgot to bring this up. I watch him on that show that is basically Peaky Blinders if there was fairies, Carnival Row. Do you guys know anything about that?
No.
That's
Nothing
a future
about it.
Jacob show. That is
I think
one
I've seen an
I
ad
can
for
see
it
you.
before,
I can see you very much getting into that.
course,
It's terrible.
of course.
He sucks in it. Please continue.
Nice.
So we have 2, right? Depp and Knightley. We have Bill Nye, who only this past year was nominated for the first time, Living, a movie I have not seen, based on the Akira Kurosawa movie Akiru.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, which means
that's an
to
incredible
live
movie.
I can't remember the director's name, but he's fantastic.
Yeah,
whatever his name
We
is.
know Kurosawa did that Van Gogh movie.
Cancer.
Just to bring things around. But yeah, he gets cancer and wants to do something good for the community before he dies.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's
movie.
Bill Nye's first nomination, 2023. So very interesting there. Jonathan Pryce, The Two Popes, 2020.
Yeah.
That's a movie?
Yeah. Him and Anthony Hopkins played Pope Benedict and Pope
John Paul?
The new guy. Whatever his name is. The most recent.
Ferdinand? What is that?
Yeah, Ferdinand.
Oh,
basically,
Francisco?
Hopkins plays Benedict, who was the last pope and who retired, which is very unusual because usually you only die and then get replaced, right?
You go to heaven. That's when you.
Yeah.
That's retirement.
you ascend.
Oh, here I go.
But it's about them two like meeting or whatever.
Yeah, a famous conversation from an ex-Nazi to a now.
Yeah, I think he was a Nazi youth. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones was not about it. Price,
that's 4.
Knightley, Depp, and Nye.
Yes. Skarsgård, no. Bloom, no. Rush, of course. He's the most accomplished in terms of Oscars because he's the only one in this cast that's won.
Was that right? Is it? Oh.
No, you're wrong. In 1997, Shine, he won.
What is Shine?
I don't know. I've never seen that. Then in 99, he was nominated for Shakespeare in Love. 2001, he was nominated for Quills, and then King's Speech in 2011. So
he was
nominated 4 times, won once. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 5. And then who are we forgetting? Who are we forgetting
then?
Naomi Harris, I guess?
Yes.
Of course.
The person that you know from 28 Days Later, of course.
That's right. She was nominated for it.
No, I wish. She was nominated for Moonlight 2016. She played the mom in Moonlight.
Oh yeah. Fucking of course she does. That's
her
right.
and Mahershala Ali were nominated for that.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
So there you go. That's 6.
She has not had the career I want for Naomi Harris. She deserves to be a much bigger star.
No, but I was surprised she was even nominated for an Oscar at one point.
She's pretty big in the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
from what I recall.
But I thought that that question would be difficult. I thought the Skarsgård thing might throw you guys off because he is a good actor. He's just never been in a role that's really been nominated. I mean, he's killed it in TV and stuff too, especially like Chernobyl.
I mean, I can't believe how much I undervalued Kira. Like, truly, just
2 nominations,
shooting her right in the heart. She
does
not deserve that.
No.
I like that movie too. Yeah. She's very good in it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
So if I get a point, I'm still losing by 1 to Colin.
Okay.
So the pearl is yours.
I'm proud of that. Oh.
And who won last month? Do you guys remember?
I think Mike probably.
I think I won the last one. Yeah. We'll check the tape. Write to us on X, Twitter. Tell me who won, listeners.
That was this week's edition of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Quiz.
You love to see it.
I love it.
Well, let's go and have our final thoughts right after this.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. The Pearl is about to be dragged down to the depths, so we're going to give our final thoughts before we head to Davy Jones' locker on Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dead Man's Chest. Yo ho, yo ho.
Yo ho.
Yo ho.
Me hearties.
Yo-ho,
Drink
yo-ho.
up, me hearties.
Me hearties. Bad.
I have a prediction that out of this trilogy, this is going to be my least favorite. And I think it's mainly because Barbosa's not in a lot of this film.
Fair.
That's true. That's true. I kind of feel like I'm gonna like them in order, essentially. I think the first one's the best, the second one might be the second best, and then the third one will be the worst, and then 4 and 5 I think are.
This is gonna keep going down.
Decline, my friend.
Yeah.
The fifth one I remember being like, I like the young leads of this movie.
Yes,
so
I think
I might come around. Yeah.
From my memory, I think I like 5 better than 4. But we'll have to see how that holds up.
Yeah.
Penelope Cruz is in 4?
Yes. And Ian McShane.
Impossible. That's impossible.
Oh, then I definitely didn't see that. Yeah.
Ian McShane is Blackbeard, and Penelope Cruz is, I think, Blackbeard's daughter, who's a love interest of Jack Sparrow.
Anne Bonny, the big female pirate, I think they finally kind of adapt.
They do an Anne Bonny.
Yeah.
I can't remember. We'll be interested.
I'm sure they get a name. They probably throw in every famous pirate name in like that big council of pirates or whatever. I think that this is a movie that's 50-50. Like half of it's good and half of it's trash. You know, like we were saying, the Flying Dutchman stuff is cool. I like Davy Jones. It's just the Norrington's good. It's just there's too much dumb spectacle for spectacle's sake. Like if you just stay focused on the narrative and the drama, it's fine. And I like the lore expansion of including, you know, the Flying Dutchman and stuff, but it's just the rest of it that I'm like, it's too long. The first one was barely too long, and this is like 40 more minutes almost. It's like, dog.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah, it's too long.
I agree.
Yeah. It's messier than the first one plot-wise. It
has
just,
nuggets.
It's bloated, I would say. It's got too much going on.
The crew of the Flying Dutchman.
Right.
I think it's really a case of they started shooting before the script was done.
I think they did actually. When I was looking at the research too, they you're exactly right there. Where they're like, we're just going to start shooting. Yeah. They added stuff as they were shooting and all that. So
there's so many scenes where they double down on what the plot points are, where it's in close-ups of 2 people talking, where you're like, well, this is a reshoot of like, remember the stakes are this. You're like, yeah, we know. I've been watching the movie. You haven't been.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, you know, I liked it more than I was expecting to. And like it was very hit or miss for me, but there are moments that I really liked. So for that reason, I will say it's better than I expected, but I wasn't expecting that much. And it's definitely not as good as the first one.
Right.
Hey, look, I'm not dropping this narrative. This is like a Rebecca Steele novel to me. This is like, it's about a woman coming to terms with her sexuality. She's on a boat full of only men. And it is like wild what is being said here in this Disney movie. So I actually kind of like what's going on in this film.
See.
Or otherwise agreeing with Mike that there is just long stretches of it where what sucks is us jumping around and how we talked about it, because truly us saying like, and then they go to Cannibal Island and that just takes 1 sentence to explain, is 15 minutes of this movie that feels endless.
Yeah, if not more.
That's the worst part for me. And Colin, like you're saying, she wants to have sex with Jack Sparrow, which you have Will Turner, a young dashing hero, or you have Jack Sparrow, a smelly, dirty pirate man.
Yeah.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah.
He's a bad boy, though,
Yeah. It's like a dirty, androgynous, bisexual rock star.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Will Turner's not going to know what he's doing.
Yes.
Jack will.
I will
He's
double
too
down
young
and
and
say
innocent.
this. You'll notice, guys, no Three Musketeer outfits in this movie. I think they truly are I have a feeling that Orlando, and it bugs me every time we just say his first name and I realize his name is Orlando. Which is the dumbest name any human being
Katy
ever
Perry,
had. The dumbest human being on the planet. I hate you, Orlando. Ridiculous, Mike. But I truly think he is exerting some creative control because the way that he now kind of has the dirty bad boy look of the long greasy hair and the more mustache.
And you remember what I said last month where he was trying to play it too cool, and Gore Verbinski was like, "No, you're not cool. Like you're being too cool."
Hey, guess what? He put earplugs in this time. It was like, Gore, I will not hear you say that I'm too cool. I'm going full cool this time, and you never go full cool.
No,
I have to give it to Orlando though, because he's been with Katy Perry for a long time now in terms of celebrity relationships. Like they've been together. They're still together.
For this, I won't hear this.
Well, we can't compare to other relationships with other cast members. That would be unfair.
Yes. Sorry. We won't talk about that.
No.
Here's what I wanted to ask you guys. Do you like Gore Verbinski movies? Do you like Rango, Mousetrap, The Ring? Mouse Hunt?
Yeah. Is the only I guess Mouse Hunt. I didn't think about that one.
I like that Rango. You don't like Rango?
I like Rango actually. That's the Johnny Depp animated where he plays like a gecko. It's like a Western. It's pretty good.
I have not seen that. I've only seen The Ring. I'm not too familiar with Gore Verbinski's body of work. So
you like that American Ring, Mike? Though
I remember it spooked me when I was a kid. Yeah,
is it better than the American?
The effects are good.
I just remember Brian Cox being like, "She's crazy," and then he takes a TV and puts it in the bathtub with him. And as a kid, I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, right.
It's definitely better than the American Grudge.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I think
can't
the
really
Japanese
nail
ones
down
are just better.
Gore as like an auteur or something, because he does so many different. Like he's done. Like I can't really. There's no connecting line between his movies. He's just kind of like a journeyman more than an auteur, I guess.
Well, there is one connecting line because he did make this movie called The Lone Ranger, and it stars a guy who's in this movie.
And Rango, so he just loves working with Johnny Depp, I guess.
And Westerns.
At
least a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish this resolved itself in one movie. Like, again, I like parts, but I don't like how much it's like, and the next one's coming out. Get ready for the next one. And the fact that they shot them back to back, it's like the money machine is here. So that's...
and he made
cooler...
Sorry.
No, please.
His most recent movie is A Cure for Wellness, which I haven't seen, but I know it's supposed to be pretty good, like horror movie.
No. But, buddy, that is universally known as a bomb. And that stars the most boring kid ever, the Green Goblin. What is that? Dane DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan, Jason Isaacs, and Mia Goth. I mean, I don't know.
I've seen it. It's bad.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Fair enough.
Psychological horror.
Yeah.
I mean, Mia Goth's good, but...
Yeah.
If to what Mike was just saying about wrapping it up, if this film had the payoff, I don't know why I'm fixated that it has to be these different curses and objects, but if this film had ended with, we resolved the Davy Jones thing, but we found a larger mythology that this worst thing is out there setting up the third movie, I would have been pretty excited. But instead, I feel where I'm like, by the end of this movie, I'm like, you've survived 3 encounters with Davy Jones. He does not seem that threatening to me. You have gotten away from the Kraken.
That's true, is the fact that he's also just the bad guy in the next movie, whereas like the first one had a totally different plot than the second movie. They should have went in a different direction. I agree.
Like you kill Davy Jones and Bootstrap is free, and he like has 5 minutes to live on land because he's old with Will, and it's like, I'm sorry, I wasn't a good dad, whatever, that kind of thing.
And really, the hook of what you going into the next movie is like, we got to get Jack back from purgatory or whatever, and also Barbossa is back. And I do think that Barbossa moment is like a legit, like I remember seeing that in theaters and being like hyped as hell,
Fearing. It's the way this movie leaves you. Like I said, you want to see the next one. I remember my entire audience being like, okay, and it not being until we got home where people are like, wait, what was the plot of that movie?
Yeah.
I think that it's just because people like Barbosa and he wasn't in this movie that they're like, yeah, he's gonna be in the next one. Awesome.
And we're getting too exposed to Jack Sparrow. We're starting to get overexposure.
And that's
just
the
a little
big
bit.
problem that I remember with the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the whole scene where it's just like 5 different Jack Sparrows in the room or something.
I'm super excited for that. Real quick, I wanted to shout out because in the last one, I was like, Jeffrey Rush. I mean, our age, this guy was nobody to any of us. Guys, I forgot. I was obsessed with Mystery Men. He's the bad guy in Mystery Men. I had definitely seen that before Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one. I don't know about you guys.
And Mystery Men, that's like with the superheroes, Ben Stiller and stuff, right? Yeah, so that's the first appearance in film that I know of All-Star. It's attributed to Shrek, but it was Mystery Men first.
But Mike, the music video is Mystery Men. If you watch it, it was for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Shrek was written by the screenwriters of this movie. So
is
there
that
you go.
Holy shit!
Terry Rossio and
how did
Ted
you
Elliott.
know that?
Hey, read off the rest of what these guys did to me real quick.
I think I said
these
last.
Yeah,
wow.
Shrek's good. This film's good. I like these guys.
The All-Star connection, incredible.
Yeah, well, they did, of course, Aladdin, which again,
The
Ron
remake.
Clements and John Musker. No, the original.
Original.
Oh, they
animated
contributed to it. Oh, okay.
They wrote the screenplay. Yeah.
That's my favorite
I just thought
one.
Musker and Clements did that. That's for sure.
Nice. Clements and Musker are also credited, so it was like 4 writers. But
they
did that. They had a working relationship with them. They made the mask. They wrote the Mask of Zorro. Story credit on Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla.
Yeah, classic.
Both those 98 masterpieces, The Mask of Zorro and Godzilla. I fucking
Small
love
Soldiers.
these guys.
What?
I love
Dante?
these guys.
Yeah, and then Road to El Dorado, and then Shrek, and then Treasure
Wait,
Planet,
did you say
which
El
is another
Dorado?
John Musker.
Road to El Dorado. People like that one a lot too. I haven't seen that one a lot, so yeah.
I was thinking just the animated El Dorado. Let me see if I've seen this.
That's the one that's
incredible.
Animated, yeah.
No, I love that movie. Yeah.
And then Shrek, and then Treasure Planet, which is another pirate movie, obviously.
If it's the same writers, we really might have to spread this series out.
This is going to be a thing.
Yeah. And they also a little movie called The Lone Ranger that you might have heard.
Whoa.
So that's it.
Stop.
That's the end of their career. They were murdered after
That's their
Yes.
Honestly, that's their last credit, except for a based on credit for the remake of Aladdin.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
So that was the end of their career.
Wow.
But they also wrote On Stranger Tides, the 4th Pirates of the Caribbean movie. They got a story credit on National Treasure, so there you go.
Fuck
oh,
yeah,
that's
dude.
cool. Sure.
So a lot of Disney movies, yeah.
But then same producer. So Bruckheimer, that makes sense, being like, hey, can you clean up on our National Treasure? Because I think that's a weird married couple who writes those movies, Jacob.
Okay, nice.
Wow.
But really
I love these guys.
Yeah, before these movies, it was Aladdin and Shrek that they really got their name from, and then they did Treasure Planet a year before Black Pearl.
Yeah, they wrote only good movies, is what you're saying. Like I'm fine with all that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's insane. Wow.
They came up with the greatest character in cinema, Donkey.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
If you create Jack Sparrow and Donkey, I hope a film executive buys you like a mansion.
Right.
Yeah. Probably got, you ended up with one.
Their first credit was Little Monsters, starring Fred Savage and Howie Mandel.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. These guys fucking
legendary. Legendary.
Yeah. They did Little Monsters and Small Soldiers. Wow.
Dude, Joe Dante.
Awesome.
That's my alley.
That's pretty.
Small Soldiers is good.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's not as good as Gremlins, but
no, but it is good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah,
it's good.
They have Frank Welker credited as the voice of the horse in Road to El Dorado. I don't think the horse had lines. I'm baffled. By
Well,
this.
he's the master of that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Megatron. Oh wow!
We gotta get the gold.
Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh. That's right. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, I might. God, well, I might watch Treasure Planet tonight. Honestly,
you know what? Treasure Planet was a huge bomb. I've always liked it. I've always thought it was good.
It's underappreciated.
That's kind of the end of the Clements Musker reign.
Oh, they go to jail. Yeah, I mean it's
yeah. But I always thought it was good. It was just maybe ahead of its time, I guess, or wasn't.
I mean,
right.
they made Moana, and still people are like, no. But you also made Treasure Planet, so go to hell. And it's like, well, okay.
Unfortunately,
we used to spend money on our animation. Iron Giant, Treasure Planet. Times were good, but no one believed it.
Yeah, well, they did Princess and the Frog too after that. But,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for our backdoor podcast on the writing credits.
Yeah, Disney. Let's do Disney animated movies next for our long
boy, we might have to.
We're already supporting them too much.
Every time I watch
90s
franchise
Renaissance
movies now,
right?
Yeah, we have to.
Jeez, oh man. Well, that'll happen after we get to the World's End and everything else in this series.
That's right.
2 years from now.
Should we tease what we're doing on our next episode, which will be the last episode of 2023?
Yeah. That's a great thing to set up, because we will be coming back with an episode next week. Then we're taking a break, and then we'll be back for the new year. And we can announce this because we do know. So we're going to be doing for the holidays. This was Mike's suggestion. We're going to be taking a little trip to meet Scrooge, of course, a figure you've seen in a lot of material. Now, what particular Scrooge story will we be enjoying, gentlemen?
Is it
Bill Murray Scrooged?
Is it Bill Murray Scrooged? No, it is indeed the Muppets Christmas Carol, the greatest Christmas movie ever.
Our favorite, the best.
The only Christmas Carol that actually has Charles Dickens in it, because of course Gonzo is Charles Dickens, right? Just narrating everything that's happening.
Yep.
His little rat buddy.
Rizzo.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Just plays Rizzo, is not like Charles Dickens' son or anything. He's Rizzo.
It says he's credited as himself, I believe.
I believe so, Mike.
But a classic puppetry, Jim Henson. And then maybe
beyond a classic,
yeah, it's like
there might be a Muppet tie-in to our Pirate series too.
Exactly. For those who are curious about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so excited for the little holiday stuff.
Yes, we'll see you back next week for a little holiday cheer. Watch that, come back, let us know, and as always, hit us up at Normies_like_us, where you can write in and give your opinions and say, well, actually, Dead Man's Chest is the exact length it should be because a 16-hour movie is good. Sure. Yeah. Let us know that, you nerd. No, but if you did love it, let us know. Because we love to hear that. And check us out on YouTube as well.
Check us out on YouTube. See our beautiful faces. And thanks, Normies. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. And confirming worldwide box office 2008, it was Dead Man's Chest. So
there you go.
How could it not be?
Everyone was curious. They just didn't like it after.
3. Yeah.
That's right.
Vindicated.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Dashboard confessional.
All right. Well, this has been a Seaboard confessional, and we watched this movie, and we're glad you came with us.
That's right. And this is your host. This is the incredibly horny Colin Elizabeth Swan.
As we first made Mike.
And this is Captain Cobb Sparrow. Dead Man's Chest. But you have heard of me.
All right. By hook or by crook, like, share, subscribe. Catch you guys later. Walk the plank, you scurvy dogs.
Walk the plank. Walk the plank. What the fuck say?
Thanks, Norman.
Salsa or chip?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.